A spectacular mid-October afternoon in Boston, Massachusetts. A very crisp 60 degrees as we get started for Game 3. Winds out of the east-northeast at 11 miles an hour. Our forecast for clear skies for Game 3 of this American League Championship Series. And our coverage on TBS brought to you as always in HD by DirecTV, delivering the most sports in HD. Chip Carey, Ron Darling, Buck Martinez, pleased to be joined as well by our reporter Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, when Tony Conigliaro was making a comeback for the Red Sox in 1969, he said he had a hard time picking up the ball in front of the sunlit fans. So the Red Sox put in this tarp you may have heard about in the pregame show. But the problem is that this tarp is not big enough to provide a contrast for a right-handed batter in front of a tall lefty like John Lester. According to Dr. Mark Weiner, ophthalmologist at Harvard, the image of the ball is picked up through the cornea in the pupil. It is focused by the lens, seen by the retina, and sent by electrical image through the optic nerve to the brain. Now, on sunny days like today, there's not enough contrast to provide a clear image.
Thank you very much, Craig. I thought see the ball, hit the ball was a lot simpler than that, huh?
No wonder I couldn't hit. I couldn't figure all that stuff out.
Well, let's check out our starting lineup today, brought to you by Kia Motors. The Rays started off with Akinori Iwamura leading off. He'll play second base. B.J. Upton is in center field hitting second. Carlos Pena is the first baseman. He'll bat third. Evan Longoria, one of the Rays' hitting heroes in Game 2, is back in the cleanup spot and at third base. Carl Crawford in left bats fifth. Willie Ibar gets the start as the designated hitter today. Deanna Navarro behind the plate. Rocco Baldelli, one of baseball's great comeback stories this year, hits eighth in right field. And Jason Bartlett, the shortstop, will bat ninth against one of the game's premier young left-handers, John Lester, 16-6 during the regular season and unbeaten so far in postseason play this year.
Well, who says left-handers can't win in this ballpark? 16 wins, 11-1 in Fenway this year for John Lester, who has become the ace of this staff with the Sox. Scouting report, friendly Fenway, 11-1 I just mentioned. Fastball to the arm side. Will he be able to paint that fastball outside to the right-handed hitters? And Longoria in the first. It seems when Evan gets off to a quick start, he has a great day. He's going to have to retire him in the first.
Defensively behind John Lester, they're on their toes because he throws so many strikes. It's Bay, Ellsbury, and Drew left to right in the outfield. Kevin Youkilis continues to play third base. Alex Cora gets the start. He made 39 starts at shortstop during the regular season. Pedroia Katse around the right side, and Jason Varitek will try to guide John Lester through the early stages of this ball game tonight and get him into a good flow.
So Akinori Iwamura digs in the left-hand batter's box for the Rays. 2 for 8 is he so far in this series. And John Lester, the 6'2", listed 190-pounder, gets ready to go for Boston in Game 3 today. Kevin Youkilis in on the grass at third, thinking about a bunt. And Lester's first pitch of the day, a 96-mile-an-hour strike.
Started the season throwing 90, 91 miles an hour. He's just getting better as the season has gone on.
And a hard hit ground ball to Cora at short. He's tested early. 2 pitches, 1 out.
Now John Lester, 5-1 with a 1.41 ERA following a Red Sox loss, and that's what they're dealing with tonight after losing in Game 2 down in St. Petersburg.
So the young Boston left-handed starter will try to be a stopper of that streak by the Rays. Boy, what an emotional, electric Game 2 down at Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg. A huge swing game for both of these teams entering Game 3 this afternoon, of course. As B.J. Upton, a defensive swing, rolls to Mark Kotsay. 3 pitches, 2 outs.
Is it me, or does that game in Tampa Bay seem about 2 weeks ago? I mean, really, it was just one of those crazy games. What, 5 hours and 19 minutes? It shows what kind of heart, though, the Rays have.
Well, both these ball clubs know the importance of that game. Terry Francona's club wanted to get up 2-0 to be in a situation where Lester could really drop the hammer on this Rays team in this ballpark.
But a couple of walks in the 11th inning. And a sacrifice fly that brought home the game-ending run sends this to Fenway Park for 3 games, with the Rays and Red Sox tied 1 game apiece. Here's Carlos Pena, and he drives the ball center field. Well struck. Ellsbury, though, is there. And how about that first inning? 5 pitches, 3 outs, and Lester breezes through the top half of the first of Game 3 at Fenway. Three up, 3 down for the Rays in the top of the first. Here's Boston's Kia Motors starting lineup for their skipper, Terry Francona. Jacoby Ellsbury, hitless in this series, leads off in center. Dustin Pedroia bats and plays second. Big Papi, the DH, hits third. Middle of the order has Kevin Youkilis at third base. J.D. Drew is back in right field with Jason Bay in left, batting sixth. Then the lower third. Mark Kotze at first. Jason Varitek behind the plate. And a chance for Alex Cora to shine in Game 3 against right-hander Matt Garza, guys. An 11-game winner for the Rays this year and 3-1 lifetime against the Red Sox.
And more importantly, he has 3 complete games, 2 of them shutouts, as he might be able to get this game deep. I think what Joe Madden needs for him to go innings. Scouting report, control his emotions, very emotional pitcher. Be stingy going against John Lester. You can't give up too much too early, and contain Ortiz. Last time they faced each other, Ortiz had a couple of home runs.
And he'll try to tame Jacoby Ellsbury, who has gone into quite a postseason slump. He started so red hot against the Angels. Is 0 for 11 in this series and 0 for 17 overall in the playoffs. That's the longest hitless streak of his young career. And Garza gets the outside corner for a called strike. Ellsbury drives that ball to left field, and Carl Crawford drifts back a couple of steps. And Ellsbury 0 for his last 18. The leadoff man down for the Red Sox in the first.
Well, the problem right now with Ellsbury, Buck, really is he's hitting everything in the air. He's the kind of guy you want to hit ground balls and line drives.
Well, he's swinging at fastballs that are up, too. He's got to force the issue and get the ball down in the zone.
We showed you the temperature, we showed you the low humidity, and showed you the forecast. What we didn't tell you is it's a windy day here at Fenway Park. How does that affect either the pitcher or the hitter or both?
Well, really what you have to look at, you don't look at the flags in center field. You look at the flags right above us here, right above the press box. That will tell you what the wind is doing. In batting practice, it was blowing in, not out.
And it still is. You can see what breeze there is blowing from center field directly toward home plate. That should help the pitchers keep the ball in the ballpark.
Which was a problem for the Rays against this man in Game 2. Dustin Pedroia had a whale of a ball game in St. Pete. He hit 2 homers, scored 4 times in the Rays' 9-8 11th inning win.
First home run came as a leadoff homer in the 3rd inning. That got the Red Sox going. Then he came back with another leadoff home run in the 5th. 2 solo home runs. He scored 4 times in that Game 2 for Boston.
Off-speed pitch, and Pedroia was fooled. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That's the good curveball. He's a 4-pitch pitcher. He's got, as Dave Magadan calls it, an electric fastball, an explosive fastball just before it gets into the hitter's zone. Magadan said his fastball is as good as any we've seen all year long.
Pedroia sends another shot to left field. Crawford will turn. He will wave high off the wall. Pedroia is in at second with a towering 2-base hit.
There's the effect of the wind already. That ball was smoked it.
Well, I think Pedroia, of all the Red Sox hitters, has done a great job of getting his pitch to hit. Fastball up in the strike zone. And nicely played off the wall by Carl Crawford.
Dustin Pedroia is now .394 in League Championship Series play with 3 home runs. He just missed his 4th.
So he's in scoring position for David Ortiz. Big Papi has not had much luck in this series. He's 0 for 6, but has walked 4 times. Red Sox Nation has to be thrilled with the fact that Pedroia is swinging the bat. When will Big Papi start cooking? He hit 23 home runs in the regular season and had 2 of them against his mound opponent in Game 3 today.
Jim Hickey, the pitching coach, knows Garza has to locate. Even though it's a 95, 96 mile an hour fastball, he still has to make quality pitches with that fastball.
That's in the dirt. It's been a long time since Big Poppy's hit one out of the ballpark in postseason play. Game 4 of the 2007 ALCS. That came off his current teammate Paul Byrd, who was then with the Indians, a solo home run. So 13 games, 50 at bats, only a .224 batting average in the postseason for David Ortiz.
Well, I think you mentioned the other day, Buck, until he starts driving the ball to left center field or start going to the bigger part of the park, he's really only uses half the field.
And Big Poppy takes the ball high.
Now, generally when you're struggling, you revert back to the weaknesses, and the weakness is trying to pull the ball, trying to generate power. And if Joe Madden continues to see David Ortiz think about hitting home runs, he's not going to hit any. He's got to get back to centering the ball, big part of the field, and that way his hands will take care of where the ball is hit according to where Garza pitches him.
Infield shift on with a runner at second, 1 out for Ortiz. And a strike now, 2-1. Let's see if Longoria now shifts up the middle against Ortiz, which has been the pattern when they get to strike one.
Yeah, he can't shift too far. He can't get too far away from third base because Pedroia is very good at stealing. And he's got the green light. So Longoria has to be close enough that he can beat Pedroia to third if he breaks.
Throw it right on by. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
The game plan from Dave Magadan for his hitters is make Matt Garza show you that he can make pitches on the corners. Don't go up there and wail away at him like you're hitting against Roy Halladay, knowing you're always going to get pitches over the plate, but with movement. You've got to make sure that you see Garza's pitch before you really get after him. Let's see where he's at with his command.
Outside corner, Ortiz argues. Garza has his first strike out of game 3. And the Red Sox woes with runners in scoring position have continued in the first inning.
Well, they're 3 for 21 now with that strikeout of Ortiz. But you'll find this ball on the pitch tracks is outside. Brian O'Nora, the home plate umpire. So far early in this game, now you didn't see it with Lester because there was contact. But with Matt Garza, he's giving him a very healthy strike zone.
And I love that. I think it's good for both the hitters and the pitchers because it makes everybody aggressive. As long as it's a consistent strike zone, nobody can beef about the fact that there's a couple of inches on the corner.
Now Kevin Youkilis, the hitter. Youkilis, such a deadly hitter with runners at second or third all throughout the regular season, is 6 for 10 in this series with a home run.
Now this is their clutch hitter. This is the guy they want up with a runner in scoring position. He's done it for them all year long, and Pedroia is ready to break on contact at second. .374 with runners in scoring position. He has been consistent, and the reason he's able to drive in runs is he doesn't take away from his game plan. He has an idea, thinking big part of the plate, out over the plate, and he's just waiting for the ball to travel.
He's such an intelligent hitter too. I think what he does is he taps into what the opposing pitcher is trying to do to him, and he reacts accordingly. Trying to pitch him away, he'll shoot you to right field.
Didn't get the inside corner, ball 3 balls and no strikes.
We have seen the theme in this series about 3-0 swings. I don't know that they want Youkilis to swing here with J.D. Drew on deck. Just to see what Matt Garza is going to do. See if he can't get his pitch count up a bit.
Inside corner, 3 balls and a strike.
We talk so much about Youkilis and his ability to hit with runners in scoring position. On the flip side of that, Matt Garza is 4th in the American League, giving up a .218 average. So he too is tough in these situations.
And like John Lester, that fastball in the mid to upper 90s here in this first inning of game 3. Hard hit ground ball to short. Bartlett gloves, grabs and guns, and that retires the side. Pedroia's double wasted by the Red Sox, and we're scoreless after 1 at beautiful Fenway Park. Scoreless inning in the books in Game 3 from Fenway Park in Boston, and you can get exclusive camera angles, behind the scenes info, and more online with TBS Hot Corner. Check it out now at MLB.com/TBS Hot Corner. Evan Longoria leads off the second for the Rays. He had his coming out party in this series in Game 2. 3 straight extra base hits, and he rips one into the seats foul for a quick first strike against John Lester. First inning of Game 2, a 2-run game tying home run against Josh Beckett, then a double in the third, a double in the fifth, a 3 RBI night for Longoria, who had been struggling mightily at the plate.
Well, it's interesting to watch how Varitek's going to try to incorporate the breaking ball. First, you want to come out and establish command with your fastball, and then bring the breaking ball into the mix.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, outstanding change up there. So now he's throwing a fastball in, a curveball for a ball, and a change up down as he's gone through his whole repertoire.
Big rookie season in the postseason. Longoria just one behind Miguel Cabrera with 3 postseason home runs.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Bright sunshine at the center field wall in the hitter's background. Not much of a sun field, just a few dappled portions in right center, as Lester just missed outside for a full count.
You can see the background there. Watch Jason Varitek as he sets up here. He looks at where the batter is, makes sure that the batter's not looking at him, and that's important because hitters can sense location.
Right through the 5-hole. And Longoria stays alive. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Ronnie, what was it like for a pitcher when you sensed somebody was peeking at your catcher, getting location before you threw a pitch?
It's happened before. I remember facing a catcher from the Philadelphia Phillies. Didn't notice that as I went into the my motion, he backed off the plate. Knew a fastball was coming in, hit a home run, and said, put that in your head, and said, that's not going to happen again.
Downstairs, that's the first leadoff man in any inning that Lester has pitched in this postseason to reach a leadoff walk to Longoria.
Well, John Lester is the whole package. When you watch the way he's come after his no-hitter in May, he has just thrown the ball harder. His curveball has more break. You could just see exudes confidence as he's on that hill, as he's become one of the best left-handers in the league.
I think right now he might be the best pitcher in baseball at this time.
That's quite a compliment as he faces Carl Crawford, and Crawford looks at a strike over the outside corner.
Very interesting. You see Varitek call for that fastball away. If you're watching David Ortiz's at bat, sometimes you can learn something about the strike zone watching your own team hit. Knows that you're going to get a little bit off that outside corner. That's a place you can go anytime you need a strike.
Watch the game or observe the game, and it looked like Varitek was, as he gets ahead of Crawford, who's 3 for 8 in the series. And another strike.
Well, as a catcher, I used to go in after the inning and tell our hitters what the strike zone's like, to give them an idea that you might have to expand your zone a bit because we're getting that outside strike. They're going to get it too, so be prepared to expand your zone. Another elevated fastball right here.
And Crawford fouled it back. So this is a great matchup, Buck. You say Lester might be the best pitcher in baseball right now, facing a man you've also called arguably the best left fielder in the American League right now.
And Carl Crawford's getting close to really having good timing right now, coming back from that tendon surgery in his hand.
Tight, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
You know, Lester's year this year is historic. I mean, 11 wins at Fenway is most by a Boston left-handed pitcher since Bruce Hurst won 13 in 1988.
And he rattled off 11 in a row. Tigers beat him April 9th. And Lester hasn't lost in this park since. And Crawford, another good effort to stay alive.
He's only one of 3 Boston left-handers, and there's storied past, of course, to have at least 15 wins, at least 150 strikeouts, and at least 200 innings pitched, with Lefty Grove in 1937 and Babe Ruth in 1916.
Short lead at first, Longoria, and the battle continues here in the second after a very easy first. Lester's pitch count piling up just a bit in the second now.
This is a much more relaxed Tampa Bay ball club we have seen here today. During batting practice in the clubhouse, Joe Maddon talked about his team's approach before game 1. He sensed they were a little bit tense. They were a little bit excited about what they were about to partake.
Late swing by Crawford. He's down on strikes. 1 on and 1 man out. To that point, Joe Maddon said, I could see in my players' faces they were feeling the moment for the very first time.
Well, I think what has happened, 2 things happened in that game. They not only got the win, they also stood up to the Red Sox, but more importantly, they got some hits. And their big guys came up big, Longoria and Upton with the home runs. And I think it showed them that, you know, they can hit the baseball against this tough Red Sox team.
And to our point in the open, this is a Rays club that did lose 7 of 9 in this ballpark. But they did win 2 of the last 3 in this ballpark during the regular season. And now Willie Ibar, the hitter, spanks one into center field. There's that hit. First of the day for the Rays. 2 are on with 1 man out.
Boy, they have taken an aggressive approach against John Lester tonight. He's throwing fastballs. They are all set. And there's a difference between just swinging and being selectively aggressive. They're swinging at good pitches and having some pretty good hacks right now. And you just see them real aggressive. And Willie Ibar gets his night off with a good note. It's a solid single. And, you know, Joe knows he's got to be aggressive in this ballpark. So he's going to try to really get off and score first in this park and then kind of turn things over to Matt Garza.
What do you say in our meeting today? Got to get a guy to third base before 2 outs. That's the way to score here in Fenway Park.
Well, Longoria stole 7 of 7 in the regular season. He stands at second. Ibar is the runner at first for Deanna Navarro, the catcher. Runners hold, and that one off the glove of Veritek, and that'll move them up. So indeed, they get the runners not only to third, but to second as well with 1 out.
Now, the reason it's so important to have a runner at third base, it's difficult to score on a base hit to left field in this ballpark. This is a real bad play right here as Veritek just has it go off his glove. It looked like he kind of blocked his eyesight with his glove as he reached for it. And that ball kicked off the thumb of his glove over toward the wall, and both runners advance. It'll be a pass ball and certainly gives the Rays the first great opportunity in this game.
Spank to the right side. Pedroia took a look, can't make a play at the plate. Navarro makes contact, and the leadoff walk, a passed ball, and a ground out. The Rays manufacture today's first run. 1-0 Rays in the second.
Nice job by Navarro, not trying to do too much. The infield back, just hit a ground ball, get that run in. Good break by Longoria.
Now, that's interesting because Lester is so good inside, and that's what it is. But if you stay inside the ball, you can hit a ground ball. That's an easy pitch to hit to the right side. You just stay inside the ball, jam yourself, and the ground ball gets him an RBI in the first run of the game.
And now Rocco Baldelli stands in, and he takes a quick strike. Guys, he's seen Lester 3 times and had 3 very tough at-bats in regular season play.
Yeah, it came the last time these 2 clubs met in September, and Baldelli had not seen John Lester since 2006 in spring training, and he marveled at what a different pitcher he was. This is his game in September, and Lester overpowered him with curveballs, beats him with fastballs, and just used both sides of the plate. And he had 3 strikeouts in 3 at-bats against John Lester.
But now a 1-1 count with a runner at third, and the ball bounced over the Rays dugout for a second strike.
Rocco Baldelli faced Lester in 2006 and heard a lot of hype about John Lester. He said, I stepped in, it was 86, 88. I said, there's another Red Sox pitcher that they've overhyped. He said, they haven't overhyped him anymore. He's legit.
Well, as the Angels found out in round one, this is a different John Lester now. He trails by a run and has Baldelli behind in the count, and he struck him out. Veritek will make the peg to first. Inning over. Leadoff walk. First leadoff man of this postseason to reach against Lester, and it costs him a lead. Rays have struck first at Fenway Park, where aerial coverage is provided to you by DirecTV. Now get over 130 of your favorite channels in HD. An absolutely gorgeous early evening for baseball in Boston, and J.D. Drew will lead things off for the Red Sox. And a quick strike called by Brian Onora behind the plate. Drew 1 for 4 in this series, 278 overall in the postseason. Another strike paints the outside corner.
Well, the Red Sox better hope that Matt Garza doesn't get off on a roll, because he has got the kind of stuff that can string together a lot of zeros, and right now he looks very comfortable.
And with a generous strike zone, would you say that makes electric stuff even more so?
Oh, of course. You can steal a strike out there anytime you want.
1-2 the count to Drew, who was hit by a pitch in the 8th inning of game 1. That was the 2-0 Boston win down in St. Petersburg. A ground ball hit toward Iwamura at second. And J.D. Drew is out number 1.
Well, behind Matt Garza, the Rays have a very quick outfield with Carl Crawford, E.J. Upton, and Rocco Baldelli. They all have the ability to play center. Evan Longoria's got a gold glove in his future, no doubt about that. Bartlett and Iwamura up the middle. Carlos Pena at first base, and Deoner Navarro has really made improvements behind the plate. Catching, throwing, calling a game, and taking the responsibility of this pitching staff in his own hands.
Garza gets the leadoff man in the second. Now Jason Bay is up and takes a ball low. Bay has been sizzling hot. He's hit safely in 5 of the 6 postseason games for the Red Sox to a .440 clip. And Garza misfires low ball 2.
Well, really the only problem you have when you're a young pitcher in these playoff games is early, really. Once you get into a little rhythm, that confidence, just you can stand taller, puff out that chest, and throw strikes.
Well, Matt Garza is a former #1 pick out of Fresno State. He was drafted by the Minnesota Twins, acquired in a trade last November from Minnesota for Delman Young. Jason Bartlett also came over here to Tampa Bay.
Count evens now 2-2.
Well, Jason Bay has just been outstanding, as Chip says. And he's done a nice job with that ball up in the strike zone. He has not missed it. Good breaking ball hitter if you leave it up, and just a fantastic fastball hitter if you're a high ball pitcher. Garza needs to keep the ball down on Jason Bay.
31 homers, 101 driven in for Bay this year between Pittsburgh and the Red Sox. And that went off the plate. A 3-2 count. Interesting too in Garza, you talk to the Rays guys about the maturity that this kid has improved upon in 2008. He's a very different pitcher now than he was early in this 2008 season. Fisted. Longoria can't get it. Bartlett can, but no chance to get Bay. Terrific range shown it short by Bartlett. But Jason Bay, another hit, this one on the infield, and he's aboard with 1 out.
Well, we talked about how hot he was. Well, sometimes when you're hot, it's because you are hitting the balls where they just cannot get to him. Good play by Bartlett with the Derek Jeter almost like jump, but can't get enough on the throw.
Just by Longoria, and there's Bartlett with a lot of range, but once he's that deep, there's no way you're going to throw out Jason Bay.
So the second Boston hit of the game has Bay at first and Mark Kotsay in the batter's box. Kotsay was 0 for 6 in game 2 of this series, but just missed hitting a home run. He's 1 for 10 in this series and lines that one into the right center field gap. Baldelli cuts it off. Bay around second on his way to third. They're at second and third with 1 out.
Seventh batter in the lineup had a chance to pick up on a pattern. First pitch fastballs, and he jumps all over it. That's a pretty good pitch. Down out of the zone, pretty good movement, but Kotze was geared up for the fastball and hammers it to the gap in right field. Jason Bay runs very well, makes a good turn around second base, and Kotze moves into second himself.
And now the key man in the inning becomes Jason Varitek, who's 0 for 7 in this series. And in this postseason, I beg your pardon, in scoring position, Varitek this year hitting .175.
Well, there's no smoke screening it. Jason just had a very difficult offensive year this year. One of those guys who have a bad offensive year still helps your club with his abilities to catch the baseball.
At the knees, a called strike. He didn't think so.
Well, that's the beauty of being a catcher. You can really have an impact without doing anything offensively, and Varitek's done that for years here in Boston.
Iwamura deep at second. If Varitek can pull a ground ball there, they'll concede a run, try to stay out of a big inning.
Just like Navarro in the top of the second for the Rays.
Up, back our way, and well out of reach. It's 0-2.
You know, you always talk about the Green Monster and how it's so great for the hitters. Well, offensively, it's not so great right here, because if you hit a fly ball to left field to Crawford, he's playing so shallow that it might be difficult for Jason Bay to score. It's two different schools in playing left field here at Fenway Park. You either play very deep and let balls fall in front of you, or like Crawford does, plays very, very shallow. Anything over your head's probably off the wall anyway.
Garza would love a strikeout of Varitek here with 1 out and 2 in scoring position. And a breaking ball is taken low. Terry Francona did make one subtle lineup change today, and that's putting in Alex Cora in the 9th spot in the order at shortstop. And he's the man that would hit next. Good eye, Varitek, 2-2.
Back-to-back breaking balls out of the strike zone. Varitek wouldn't chase. Ground ball right here gets the Red Sox a run. That's all Varitek's thinking. Garza's got the ability to elevate the fastball now and get the pop up on the infield or strike him out. He's taken Varitek down in the zone twice on consecutive pitches. Now he's got the fastball that's good enough to elevate.
There's the doubt on this pitch, though, against Varitek at 2-2. If he goes 3-2, it removes some of that doubt. Probably going to get a fastball. Got to make the pitch here.
And he made it over the inside corner. 2 outs. And Brian Honora is getting an earful from both lineups offensively in the early innings of Game 3.
Well, he has set the tone early. He's told both lineups, hey, you better swing the bats. I'm not going to sit here and really be conservative. That's a good pitch. With 2 strikes, you've got to protect the plate. That's a good pitch to hit on the ground. Right side, get yourself an RBI. Varitek's questioning Honora right off the shoot, but he's already seen it himself, so he knows it's a wider strike zone.
Dave Martinez with the shake of the head lets me think that Martinez might be helping Navarro back there, letting him know what's a good pitch to call.
Alex Cora in for his ability to hit fastballs for Game 3. And you figure he'll see plenty of them from Garza here tonight.
Well, he's got a little bit of an extra scouting report as well. Joey Cora, his brother, is the bench coach for the White Sox, and Garza was hit hard by Chicago in the division series.
Second and third, Garza continues to stretch with 2 out. And a high fly ball to center. Upton is under, drifting back, and the Red Sox have 2 on, in scoring position, 1 out, and fail to score. And after 2, the Rays lead by 1. Craig Sager, Chip Carey. As we head to the third inning, the Rays have struck first. They lead the game by a 1-0 score. John Lester will face Jason Bartlett, then the top of the Rays order here for the second time today. And the first pitch popped up back toward the screen. Veritek gives chase and has no play. MLB postseason on Espanol, live MLB postseason Spanish language feed available via SAP. Buck, we've seen John Lester pitch several times this season. If there has been a pattern to his work, it's right about now, is it not, where the hitters have a much tougher time against him?
Yeah, generally he really gets a feel for his breaking pitches. I haven't seen a real good cutter yet. That pitch inside that's so good for him.
And that ball hammered into left field. Bartlett has a leadoff single. So isn't it a funny game? Lester in the postseason retired 15 consecutive leadoff man. Now has given up a walk in the second to start that inning. And a base hit to Bartlett here in the third.
Now, Jason Bartlett hits very well against left-handed pitchers. For the season, he has hit .379, and he is now 5 for 9 against John Lester. Watch how he keeps his bat back on the breaking ball. Takes his stride, his hands separate from that front foot, and he's able to really get after that breaking ball that was about knee-high.
Bartlett measures off a good lead over at first. He stole 20 bags in the regular season. And Veritek slides off the plate to handle ball one.
Iwamura gets down the line very quickly because he's got that running start with his batting style. He will be right at 4 flat, even a tick under it from time to time. He's a tough guy to double up.
Only 7 times in the regular season. Driven toward the monster and left. Bay going back on the warning track. He'll turn. That one's high off the wall. Bartlett will be stopped at third. The Rays have them second and third with nobody out.
Boy, Jason Bartlett really read that ball well. That was high off the green monster, and he never hesitated. He made a quick read and determined it was going to hit the green monster. Watch how he reads it so quickly. Bartlett sees Bay's back to him and says, you know what, he's going to play that off the wall. He moves very quickly over to third base. Good base running.
Nice job of driving that ball on the outside part of the plate by Iwamura. A nice play here by Bay to get the ball in. Foley was thinking about sending him for a while, but of course with no outs you want to be more conservative.
And that brings up B.J. Upton. A defensive swing retired him in the very first inning. Lester and the Red Sox in third inning trouble, second and third, and nobody out. And now Veritek and Lester want to talk it over.
Well, with that hit, Iwamura now has hit in all 7 postseason games. What a leadoff hitter he has been, and they've got John Lester on the ropes here early. Iwamura going the opposite field. He's hit an opposite field home run already in this postseason. We told you it was a much more relaxed Tampa Bay ball club we saw during batting practice this afternoon, and they have taken that approach right into the game.
Upton has to move his feet and takes a ball low. Buck and Ron, we talked about the injury to Upton's shoulder and the effect that has had on his approach at the plate. Do you think he's 100% at this point in time?
I don't think anyone's 100% at this point in time, and I think the most important thing to do is that you just have to, forget about all those little aches and pains that you have. And I think Upton's done a nice job of that so far in the postseason.
Well, you know what? He had his mentor, Cliff Floyd, talk to him a little bit before Game 4 of the division series, and Floyd's been on him quite a bit at the end of the season. Said, you know what, BJ? Everybody's beat up right now. If you can't play, tell the skipper and we'll get somebody else out there. But play with injuries right now, and he's doing a heck of a job of blocking it out.
He's ahead in the count here. 2 balls, no strikes. And now 2-1.
Well, this is his big moment to sack fly to score. Fernando Perez. Not a good throw by Drew from right field. That ball chased up the line, but Perez with that great speed, and of course just putting the ball in play, good things can happen.
As it does here, a towering fly ball deep left field. That one is gone. A 3-run homer, B.J. Upton. And the Rays Rays have broken it open early. They're stunned in Boston. 4-0 Tampa Bay.
John Lester hasn't been beaten in this ballpark since April, and this is a good fastball, but you can see it moved out over the plate. That's the one thing I've not seen from Lester so far, is the ability to get the ball inside. It always served him well this year, and so far he's not been able to get that ball in.
A nice shot there from the blimp as the ball ends up in the parking garage. But, you know, the Red Sox coming into the series probably overconfidently penciled a couple of wins off when Lester starts, and this will be stunning for them to get up this early.
How about his first postseason for Upton? 5 home runs now. And a 3-run shot makes it a 4-0 score, and the Fenway faithful very concerned early tonight. Here's Pena. Pena takes ball 2, 2 balls and no strikes.
Well, one thing we forget is that the Rays won the East. They won the East, and they played against these guys the whole time. And even though their record wasn't great in this ballpark, they won the East. They beat the Yankees, they beat the Red Sox, they beat the Blue Jays. They think they can play with anybody.
2 balls and a strike to Pena, who lined out to center. Pena, of course, went to Northeastern University. As you see the Eastern standings, you're right. Tampa Bay not only beat Boston, but went through the Yankees and Toronto and that Baltimore ball club this year. And trying to complete a magical year, going from worst to first. And that's a little low. The Rays the most wins after having the worst record in baseball history. 97 wins this year, surpassing the 1991 Braves, who won 94 games but were beaten in the World Series that year by the Twins. Little ground ball foul fills up the count to Pena.
Well, don't think for any minute here that this game is over. We're in the 3rd inning at Fenway Park, and we have seen this thing go back and forth. Terry Francona knows his team is capable of striking at any moment in the ball game. But Ron, you made a great point about Lester. Everybody on this club, everybody in this ballpark said, well, Lester will beat him twice, and we'll just figure out how we can get 2 more wins somewhere else.
That's over the outside corner. Pena knew it. And Lester strikes out his second, make that his 3rd man of this ball game. 1 away.
That was a good pitch against the left-hander Pena, but I think what we've seen early is something we haven't seen from John Lester in the postseason. Been behind hitters. His breaking ball really doesn't have the snap that it had, and also has not been able to get that little cutter or ball, like you said, Buck, inside with a lot of life. It seems a little short so far early in this game.
In his young career, Lester has never lost to the Rays. He's 4-0 lifetime, and this year had given up just 2 earned runs in 20 innings pitched against the Rays in regular season play. He's given up 4 in total already tonight.
More importantly, his team has never lost to Tampa Bay when he's gone to the mound. So that's why you're confident. Hey, John has gone to the mound 7 times against Tampa Bay. We've never lost to him.
But the Red Sox in a big hole early. As Longoria waves and misses. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, Longoria really started this in the 2nd inning, didn't he? He was down 0-2 in the count, worked the walk, scored their initial run.
It's the first time that Lester has allowed a leadoff batter to reach base. And that just changes the entire fortunes. All of a sudden, he's working out of the stretch. He's got a guy on, middle of the order. Bad things happen.
And didn't Madden say to Longoria, be patient, take your walks?
That's what I like, a ball player that listens to the skipper.
2-2 count. Driven left center field and deep as well. That one's got a chance to go, and it does. Longoria unloads with a solo home run. It's 5-0 Rays in the 3rd.
that ball cut right out over the heart of the plate. Again, no stride. Look at the torque from contact beyond. Tremendous extension as he drives it into the monitor seats and puts the Rays up by 5.
Just amazing how strong Longoria is. Like you said, doesn't really shift his weight a lot. Just with those good, strong hands, able to hit the ball in the ballpark. As pitching coach John Farrell having a talk with John Lester.
And this puts the Red Sox in a very interesting predicament. Their bullpen is going to get to work. Both of these ball clubs had to use their bullpens with great frequency in Game 2 of this series. And Paul Byrd is going to get up and begin throwing with the Rays up 5-0 in this 3rd inning. Crawford, the hitter, and he slaps one foul down the left field line for a quick strike. The big question in Boston was Terry Francona's use of Josh Beckett in Game 2. Beckett lasted 4 innings and a third and gave up 8 runs. Question for Terry Francona now, guys, is how long do you ride John Lester in this game tonight?
Well, when you think about Beckett and Lester back-to-back getting hit hard, that's a real red flag for the Red Sox. As far as how long you go with him, you just have to see some signs that he's getting better, and I haven't seen any yet.
Five runs on 5 hits, including 2 home runs. As Upton and Longoria this postseason have combined to hit 9 out of the park for the upstart Rays. Well, 2-2.
It's really amazing that Longoria in his first season and Upton, very young in his career, can come into the postseason and not be rattled, not be intimidated. And I asked Longoria about that specifically, and he said, you know, I came from Long Beach State. We had big leaguers coming back all the time, so we've been around them. And it's not that big a deal for us to be in this atmosphere.
Strike 3 on a breaking ball. Crawford frozen. He's down on strikes for the 2nd time. 2 men are out.
What do you mean by that, Buck? Is that in the wintertime they come back to Long Beach State to work out, to get ready for spring training. So you're out there at the ballpark hitting with your hitting with these star players, and you're simply, I can hit the ball as far as Tulowitzki. I'm doing pretty good.
Jason Giambi comes back, and he's got World Series experience, and you talk to him. What's it like up there? What's it like in the show, man? What do you do up there? And then you say, well, what about the World Series? Oh, it's awesome. You'll love it. Here they are. Postseason play, and young players have really shined the last couple of years in the postseason.
Lester so dominant in games 1 and 2 of his 2008 postseason. A long 3rd inning here tonight. Strike to Ibar, who singled his first time up.
All of a sudden he's got his curveball now, but it might be too late.
A single, a double, a homer before the first out of this 3rd inning was recorded. Then Longoria hit a solo shot. Now with 2 outs, Willie Ibar bats with an even count. And takes low for ball 2.
Well, I think when you looked at the Rays before they went into the postseason, you had to say to yourself, you know, we're only going to go as far as Upton and Longoria bring us. And so far, so good by these young players.
Over the outside edge, it's 2-2.
Well, these two guys obviously the face of this franchise now, and Upton has finally found the position in center field. Longoria, not only does he hit, but he's going to win a Gold Glove in the very near future.
Driven to center field. Ellsbury broke back, now comes in. He's got it. And the side is retired. The Rays play long ball at Fenway Park. B.J. Upton, a 3-run shot over the monster. Evan Longoria, a solo blast. A 4-run third has the Rays in front big. Now get 3 full hours of your favorite TBS family. Tyler Perry's House of Pain. See it all at its new start time every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock right here on TBS. Presented by Sprint. 5-0. The Rays trying to win Game 3 and the first of 3 in this series at Fenway Park. And the Red Sox bring the top of the order up now against Matt Garza. Jacoby Ellsbury fly to left his first time up. He's 0 for his last 18 in the playoffs. Shows bunt, takes strike 1.
Well, honestly, you thought you'd see a little more of this from the Red Sox early in the game here. Matt Garza has made errors in the past. He has trouble throwing to the bases, and you find that kind of interesting to think a pitcher has a hard time throwing. But sometimes guys on the mound can throw to the plate, but they can't always make the throw to the bases. In golf, it's called the yips. I don't know what it's called in baseball.
It's called the yips in baseball,
okay.
too. Because you get really reluctant to throw, and he's had some problems with that in the past, but so far the Red Sox haven't been able to test him. 4 errors in his last 36 games. That's a big number for a pitcher.
1 ball, 1 strike. Ellsbury leading off the third. And Garza misses low. Yeah, just ask the Tigers about how important it is for your pitchers to handle the baseball in postseason play.
It's Dave Martinez on the left, Jim Hickey on the right.
Driven to right field. Rocco Baldelli surrounds it. 1 man is down. Let's check it again with Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, at the beginning of the telecast, we mentioned in an afternoon game in Fenway, bright sun, it might be difficult for the Tampa Bay hitters to pick up the ball from John Lester. And in the first inning, he breezed through on 5 pitches. But shortly thereafter, clouds moved in from the west, and this ballpark has been totally in the shade. And now an hour in, the main source of light is from the light poles, so it's almost become a night game. So I don't know if that helped the hitters, but I'll tell you one thing, I would think Tampa Bay was very happy to see the clouds rolling in.
Here's Pedroia. He has one of the Red Sox first 3 hits in tonight's game. They have 2 doubles, 1 infield hit, but have yet to score against Garza. Lights taking over here as we approach the 6 o'clock hour East time. And that's off the plate. 1 ball, no strikes.
And see all the Red Sox standing top step trying to get a feel for Matt Garza. Even Kevin Youkilis trying to time his stroke in the dugout. It's not quite comfortable yet.
And Garza misses high. Ball 2. As a manager with a lead early like this, Buck, you like that?
Of course you like it. You're still not comfortable.
Especially in this ballpark. You have a young pitcher out there.
Well, Ron, you made a great point about his ability to throw complete games and shutouts. He had back-to-back shutouts earlier in the season, and he's the kind of guy that can be very dominant. You just wonder if he's going to be able to just continue to flow along with this lineup.
There's that generous outside corner. 2 balls and a strike. Garza struck out 128 men, walked 59 in regular season play. 184 2/3 innings in his 30 starts. And now falls behind Pedroia 3-1.
You know what happens sometimes for young pitchers when they get a lead? They try to rush through innings and think that, you know what, since I have such a big lead, let me just be overly aggressive, just throw my fastball. And you can't change what you've been doing. You got to continue to mix up all your pitches.
Swing and a drive. That's hammered to left field off the wall. Pedroia around first. Crawford will hold him to a long single. So Pedroia, who struggled so mightily against the Angels, has come back in this series with a vengeance. He's 6 for 10 at the plate against the Rays.
Jumps on another high fastball and rips it off the monster. And Crawford plays it very well. Crawford's played a lot in this ballpark, and he understands once you see that line drive, it's not going out of the ballpark. Get yourself in a position to play the care of him, and he keeps Pedroia to a long single.
Interesting, fellas. Big Papi had a chat with Brian Honora before this at-bat took place. He was called out on strikes in the first inning of tonight's game. Let's see what, if any, adjustments Ortiz makes in his second matchup with Garza. Shift is on again. With a runner at first, Longoria playing up the middle as the Rays third baseman. And a fastball taken high.
Well, when Ortiz comes out, the words he has with Honora is that after his at-bat being the designated hitter, he can go down in the tunnel, go see the video guy and say, where was that pitch, and eyeball it, and then have the conversation with Honora.
You better be careful how you present that conversation.
Yeah. Yes.
Pipe might even get wider.
Garza continues, though, to work very deliberately. This is something that pitching coach Hickey and the staff would like as he goes along in his career, just to work a little quicker. It's easier to keep and retain your pitch selection, retain your control when you work a little quicker.
Ortiz hitting to 11 double plays in the regular season. Garza looking for one of those here as he misses up and away again. Ball 2.
And now Navarro out in front of home plate. Just a little message for him. Hey, just speed it up a little bit now. We're in control. Don't try to be too fine. Got a little smile on his face right there. That's pretty good. The relationship these two have has really changed. This goes back into what they've done. And Ortiz against Garza September 17th. A couple of long home runs at Tropicana Field. First two hits he got against Matt Garza, they were both long balls.
Second one looked like it rattled around in the catwalk in St. Pete. So Garza wasn't smiling then, but he's got a big lead here, but is behind Ortiz, who looks to end a long homerless drought in the postseason. And now ball 3, 3-0.
It's almost like Matt Garza between pitches, when he gets behind, has to play a little mental game with himself. He goes past the rubber. He starts to talk to himself, thinking about what he should do, and that's why he's so deliberate.
Three balls and a strike.
What you can do as a catcher in a situation like this is just accentuate your target and really try to make him focus on down, because everything he's throwing right now, he's missing up. And I think it's imperative for Navarro to pick up on this pattern and just make a real conscious effort to get his attention with your glove.
Battles back to fill the count, 3-2.
That's a good call, Buck, because right here in this situation, you don't have to be inside or outside. The ball down, you get a ground ball. You have all the people on the right side of the infield. You have a chance to roll a pair.
He has really become a leader behind the plate, reminding Garza who's got coverage at second base with the shift. Normally, in a situation left-handed batter, you're looking at the shortstop. Well, it's the third baseman now. Don't be surprised when you look up and see Longoria covering second.
You know, maybe you always talk about the pitching coaches, their relationship with the pitchers. His most important relationship usually with the catcher, because he's the one that's going to present that pitching coach's game plan for that particular day.
Pedroia leads at first with a 3-2 count, not going, and Ortiz stays alive.
And I think one thing about game calling, it's not the fact that the catcher is so dominant and has a photographic memory. The essence of the catcher calling a good game is making the pitcher most comfortable with what he calls. So you have to know what the pitcher can do, what he's uncomfortable doing, and then just execute that. Don't put him in an uncomfortable situation.
Popped up, left side, long run with Longoria playing in the shift. Over near the stands, takes a peek, dives in, can't get there. Great effort, but it goes unrewarded for Evan Longoria.
He catches it in the regular season. There are no camera bays down there. That's a temporary camera position they put up there, and it's about 6 feet wide, and if he goes up against the normal barrier, he makes the catch.
You have to battle that Red Sox fan for it, though.
So Ortiz, a good third inning battle here, trying to prolong the at-bat and the inning for the Red Sox. Swing and a high pop fly, shallow right. Going out is Bartlett, and he'll make the catch for out number 2. Poppy pops out.
Well, we've seen Bartlett now, a nice, beautiful over-the-shoulder catch in Tampa. And you see this swing by David Ortiz out in front on this breaking ball. 3-2 breaking ball to David. Not able to stay back. We've seen a lot of those at-bats from Ortiz so far in this postseason.
He starts his swing before he picks up the pitch.
So the first time in this game, the Fenway faithful collectively clapping, rising, roaring. Garza took a little off and had Ortiz way out in front for the second out. And now Kevin Youkilis with Pedroia at first and 2 out is the Red Sox hitter. He bounced to short and ended the first. Navarro, a nice stop, ball 1.
You know, Garza's been able to negotiate these first 3 innings despite giving up the 4 hits because he's done what John Lester has done. He's retired the first hitter to face him in each and every inning. That gives him a little bit of leeway when he has runners on base.
And Matt Garza is so much more focused in this start tonight than he was against the White Sox in Game 3 of the division series.
One 0 count.
In that start in Chicago against the White Sox, he was toying with the mound. He called the grounds crew out. He scared a bird off the field. Everything seemed to be in his head.
Well, Youkilis not happy with this call. He called a check swing on him. Strike for Garza and the Rays.
So instead of a 2-0 count, it's even 1-1 to Kevin Youkilis. Missed inside, 2 balls and a strike. Red Sox worked the count very well, but Garza hasn't walked anybody. 54 pitches and he's not yet out of the third. Foul ball. So Youkilis trying to get out of the way, tied himself up, now has a 2-2 pitch coming.
Frustrating at bat for Youkilis so far, the check swing strike, and this one he took it, but the bat still stayed partially in the zone. Foul tip.
This is important for Garza to throw strikes inside. If you throw balls inside, then it's inconsequential, but now the Red Sox know they have to get after that inside pitch. Not only is that effective, but it also opens the outside part of the plate up as well.
Youkilis as deep as he can get in that batter's box with a 2-2 count. Check swing, that was over the outer half. Good call, Buck, and a good inning for Garza. He strikes out his third man and protects a 5-run lead after 3. It's cooling off rather nicely, thank you very much, at Fenway Park in Boston. 5-0, the Rays leading as we head to the top of our 4th inning. And Boys and Girls Clubs of America is the official charity of Major League Baseball, reaching more than 4 million kids worldwide. Together, they create a positive place for kids. Awfully quiet at Fenway Park, where the Rays try to end this lead. And Deanna Navarro, who drove in the game's first run with a ground out, takes a called strike. And a rocket up the middle, a base hit for Navarro. 3 straight leadoff men on against John Lester. And it's time to talk, brought to you by Charles Schwab. Terry Francona, the Red Sox skipper, evaluates the mistakes of John Lester early tonight.
Yeah, he got a cutter, he left over the middle, tried to throw a fastball up under Upton's hands, didn't get it there. We got a hole to dig out of.
You know, you've got enough offense, obviously, but what have you seen from Garza so far that might have you a little bit concerned? Looks like he's under his emotions pretty good. Got his emotions in control.
Yeah, I don't know about those emotions. I don't know him. I know he's got his fastball under control right now. He's got a pretty good fastball.
And Garza does have a good fastball, and he is making great use of it with this big lead. And now Rocco Baldelli with a man aboard, and nobody out, and the Boston bullpen back in play. Inside, ball 2.
Well, John Lester, when he takes the mound, is always the best feel-good story, being a cancer survivor. But Rocco Baldelli might be the second best story for this Rays team, coming back from the disorder that he suffers from.
Yeah, mitochondrial disorder, which causes extreme fatigue in the extremities. And it very nearly ended Baldelli's career when that was announced earlier this season. Yet here he is back in the big leagues after a disorder that cost him 240 games played for the Rays.
And it took him so long to find out what was wrong. He had hamstring problems, he had different injuries, and it was all the root of his disease that they didn't identify it right away. It took him a while to really figure out what was wrong, and it's taken him up until this year to find out what medication can help him play. So they have to make sure he gets plenty of rest. He said, if I play back-to-back games, my legs start to quiver as I just don't have the stamina to stand out there and play. So they have picked his spots very effectively. This was as talented a rookie player as we've seen come into the American League in a long time when he made his debut back in 2003.
Yeah, he finished third in the American League Rookie of the Year voting that season, and there were writers, scouts. Al Lamacchia said, I just saw Joe DiMaggio's brother. They were comparing Rocco Baldelli at a very young major league start to his career to Joe DiMaggio.
He's from Rhode Island. This has got to be such a joy for him, playing on all those bad Ray teams. Now to be in the postseason against the Red Sox. He's a Red Sox fan growing up. Bishop Hendricken High School in Rhode Island.
Well, he and Kyle Crawford really were the first two homegrown stars that they developed. And they both made it to the major leagues 2003. A couple of real impressive young players.
Pop fly foul, and Veritek gives chase, but will have no play as we take a look at our Nikon D60 player profile. Tonight indeed we do focus on Rocco Baldelli.
Woonsocket, Rhode Island, right down the road on 146, Route 146.
And a remarkably inspirational story for these Rays. You mentioned Crawford and Baldelli. Just think, had Josh Hamilton worked out for the Rays as well. And obviously Hamilton, with all of his troubles as he continues to battle his addictions, back this year with the Texas Rangers. A remarkable season for him, and that show in the home run derby during the All-Star game was as spine-tingling as this cool weather in Boston tonight. Little tapper over the mound. Pedroia will flip to second, and that's all they get. Navarro stopped, forced him to flip the ball, and Baldelli at first with one man out. One on, one out for Bartlett. The Rays shortstop singled and scored the second run of the night for Joe Maddon's club tonight. And this is the man that Lester has had no luck retiring. He's 5 for 9 against him head to head.
Well, it was Bartlett and Garza that came over to this ball club last November in a trade that sent Delman Young to the Twins, and both of them had huge impact on this ball club. Bartlett helped the pitching staff with his defense, and he's been a good clutch hitter batting in the 9th spot. And of course Garza assumed the 2nd spot in the rotation out of spring training because Scott Kazmir was on the disabled list.
Yeah, Bartlett defensively helped the Rays allow 273 fewer runs this year than they did in 2007. And Garza with that big right arm did his share of run prevention too for the Tampa Bay club. But it wasn't an easy transition from Minnesota to Tampa Bay, was it?
Well, I think for Matt Garza and Bartley, they both felt a lot of pressure to prove the Minnesota Twins wrong for getting rid of them, and they put a lot of extra pressure on themselves, got off to a slow start, both of them, but then had a little pep talk with each other and said, relax, we're going to be in the big leagues all season, it'll come.
And it came in a hurry for Tampa Bay. Some thought maybe a year earlier than it was originally penciled out.
Yeah, and Joe Madden will tell you, and we have heard from him, and he expected his team to be much better. He never really set 500 as a goal for his club. He felt like that was just selling their team too short.
But the 9=8 philosophy paid off. Runner in motion. Youkilis gives ground. 360 spin and throw. Good play. Retires Bartlett. But Baldelli in scoring positions as the Rays stay out of a double play. Now with 2 out.
Well, you think to yourself sometimes, you put the hit and run on and you say, boy, this isn't a successful hit and run. He did not get a base hit. That's wrong. It is a successful one. You put Baldelli in scoring position, even though you're thrown out. Took a great play by Youkilis, a real strong play. And they've executed today. Navarro with the ground ball, the execution of hitting the ball on the ground on a hit and run.
Now, we have talked about this team with runners in scoring position. They were last in the American League during the regular season, and for some reason they've been able to change that dramatically in this postseason. They have come up with more timely hits than the much more experienced Boston Red Sox.
And in this ballpark, hitting with runners in scoring position for the Rays this year was, frankly speaking, a nightmare. As a club, they hit 103 with runners in scoring position in the 9 games in regular season. 9 hits and 83 at bats. Tonight they're 1 for 3, but a couple of home runs certainly make that stat less meaningful tonight. But it's all gone the Rays' way early, up 5-0. Akinori Iwamura 1 for 2 in the game, doubled and scored ahead of the Upton home run. And it looks like he's getting a running start with every swing, doesn't he? 1 and 2.
That's very similar to Ichiro Suzuki's swing. There's a lot of movement, but he's able to keep his hands back in a good launch position, even though the feet are moving around an awful lot in the batter's box.
Keeps that head very still.
Baldelli goes for third, a swing and a miss, and Varitek hangs on. No runs, a hit, and a man left. Jason Bay is due up in the Red Sox 4th. Boston needs some thunder. They're down 5. Hey fans, let's see how much energy we can save together. Take the Sharp Lights Out Challenge. Turn your lights out while watching Game 4 of the ALCS on TBS tomorrow. Go to tbs.com/lightsout to participate and enter for a chance to win a Sharp Aquos LCD TV. And yes, that's about how big the baseball has looked for the Rays in Game 3 tonight. 2 towering home runs have been hit, and Matt Garza leads it by a 5-0 score. J.D. Drew takes ball 1. J.D. rolled out to second, leading off the second tonight. And 1-1.
Well, Tampa Bay this season, if you want to know their history, when they've had a 5-run lead, only 36-0. Have not coughed up a 5-run lead all season long.
That's the improvement of the bullpen. They have really made a conscious effort. Last year they had the worst bullpen in baseball.
And the way Garza's pitching tonight, it's not looking like Joe Madden's going to have to go into that bullpen anytime soon. As Drew ahead in the count.
Although they're getting ready. They're getting ready here, Chip.
I think they're just trying to stay warm.
Drew 1 for 5 in the series. Had a remarkable season for the Red Sox in that when David Ortiz was out, Boston really was concerned about their offense, and J.D. Drew, in the words of Terry Francona, saved their season that month.
June, he hit 12 home runs in June that led to majors, and he was as hot as anybody I'd ever seen. Getting big hits, timely hits, bunches of hits, just carrying the entire team on his shoulders. And then unfortunately, he had the back problems late in the season. It really knocked him out of the lineup.
Drew had to take some epidurals for that bad back. And had just 4 at-bats from August 17th to the end of the regular season, and Garza just blows it right by him. There's your first out in the 4th inning. Garza throwing free and easy with a 5-run lead. And it's time to talk, brought to you by Charles Schwab. Joe Maddon's the Rays skipper. He's very happy with the way things have started in Game 3 tonight.
You know, that's a little bit over my head, I think. I'm just pleased with what he's doing right now. The biggest thing is he's very talented. We just needed to get him to relax a bit, and he has.
Joe, how much different is Matt Garza's demeanor on the mound tonight compared to his first start in the postseason in Chicago?
He was really ready for this. I think, you know, the comparisons with Lester in regard to how well he had been doing kind of lit him up a little bit, and he's out there with pretty good focus tonight. He's throwing the fastball down, which I love. And he's actually used some very good curveballs like the one to Poppy in the last inning. How about the opportunity to start Rocco Baldelli in this postseason game? It's great. It's great to get Rocco back out here like this, just on that attempted steal there on the ground ball. He looked like he was running really well and actually on the steal to third base. As long as his legs are in good shape, this guy can play.
So Baldelli and the Rays enjoying proceedings in the 4th inning. And a defensive swing by Bay. Pena makes a good pickup and runs it to the bag for out number 2. We mentioned Carlos Pena from Haverhill, Massachusetts. Haverhill, excuse me.
Go.
Thank you very much. Haverhill, Massachusetts. Big family, went to Northeastern. 1 ticket tonight. That's it.
Really?
For his dad. The rest of the family watching the game at home.
Well, I'm sorry they have to listen to us. We apologize.
Especially if I say Haverhill instead of Haverhill. Thank you for the pickup. 2 outs here in the 4th. And Mark Kotsay, the hitter, he doubled in the 2nd. That was a big inning for Boston, fellas. 2nd and 3rd with 1 out, and they did not score.
Well, we talked about Garza and his ability to pitch with runners in scoring position. He was 4th in the American League this year and held the opponents to a .218 average in those situations.
And a line drive into right for Kotsay, a 2-out hit. He's 2 for 2. And Boston hoping tonight for what has been one of their other offensive calling cards this entire postseason, 2-out production. And they'll need some of it here with Veritek up and a runner aboard. 18 of their 28 runs have come with 2 outs in the playoffs.
That was the difference last night in the Dodger game. That 2-out triple by Blake DeWitt just broke the game wide open. If Jamie Moyer gets out of that first inning, you know, the Phillies are right in it. They have an explosive lineup, but that 3-run capper just kind of closed the door for the Phillies last night.
Speaking of explosive, how about the way the benches reacted with Shane Victorino up? And Hiroki Kuroda buzzed the tower a couple of times.
A lot of Wolf tickets on that field last night.
Wolf tickets. Here's Veritek. He struck out looking his first time up. And that's a little high.
Hold me back. Hold me back.
Yeah. How about the old guys, huh? Davey Lopes, Larry Boa, Mariano Duncan. They were the guys that knew what to do out there. Boa took care of Manny Ramirez. Said, Manny, you get out of this fight. I don't want you to get hurt.
So the Red Sox have overcome a 5-run deficit this year. And they are going to try to do that tonight in Game 3, but it won't happen with Veritek. A pop-up right in front of the plate. Pena in foul ground makes the catch, and the Fenway faithful are booing the hometown team. 5-0 after 4. B.J. Upton starts off the Rays' 5th inning. Tampa Bay leads John Lester, who has been unbelievably good this postseason, 5-0 after 4 innings of play. Upton the big blow, a 3-run home run 2 innings ago in the Rays' 3rd inning.
And this crowd is stunned, but can you imagine if you're coming home from soccer or football or lacrosse practice and you jump in the door and say, Mom, what's the score of the Red Sox game? 5-0 Tampa Bay. No, come on, really. What's the score? You wouldn't believe it.
And a grounder off Lester's glove. Cora will hustle in with a bare hand and has no play as Upton will reach leading off the 5th inning. That ball was scorched, and Upton's speed paid dividends for the Rays in this inning.
B.J. Upton is a tremendous athlete. That ball goes off the glove of Lester. Cora, a do-or-die play from shortstop, but Upton simply runs too well. Look how far past the bag he is. And he does it so effortlessly. Some people think that he's dogging it. He is so smooth, takes up so much ground with every stride. I tell you what, he moves around the field so gracefully.
When we use the term he glides.
Yep.
I think Upton probably personifies that term. And he measures off a good lead here in this 5th inning for Pena, who's 0 for 2. You've managed here many a time. 5 enough?
No, you never have enough. Not until you're in the spread in the clubhouse.
And even then you don't have enough, right?
They worrying about tomorrow.
No, yeah, you're never comfortable here. You just keep pressing the offense. You keep running. They're going to run here.
Upton 44 of 60 in the regular season in stolen bases, has an enormous lead. And there's the bunt with the shift on. Pena will leg it out. Youkilis throws behind the runner, and Upton wandered too far off the bag. Heads up play by Youkilis. He knew he couldn't get Pena, and Upton too wide a turn, and there's the first mistake of the game for the Rays.
And everybody in the American League East has seen B.J. Upton make these mistakes. He just went beyond the bag. There's no reason to go any further than second base and stop. But look at Youkilis, no hesitation at all. He knew he wasn't going to make a throw at first, but for some reason B.J. Upton makes a turn. Stop right at second. You're not going anywhere. Why turn around the bag? And look at Cora. Heads up on the play. He wasn't a spectator. He knew there was a chance for Upton to make a mistake, and they capitalized on it.
So instead of 2 on, nobody out, and Pena will take off and will make it into second without a throw. We mentioned they will run, and Pena does. Now you've got a runner at second and 1 out instead of a double steal.
Well, we've seen a hit and run. We've seen Rocco Baldelli try to steal with 2 outs on a strikeout. And here Carlos Pena really caught the Red Sox and John Lester sleeping.
He had 1 steal all summer long during the regular season, and he picked the perfect time to move into scoring position after B.J. Upton made a mental mistake.
This is a young team taking it to a veteran team in their home park.
And Longoria with a long homer to his credit tonight, up for the 3rd time, and he looks at ball 1.
Isn't it interesting that the Red Sox can't slow down the tempo of the game against Tampa Bay?
Both these clubs like to manufacture offense with their team speed, and the Rays have used some of that and a whole lot more thunder here tonight. 1 ball, 1 strike. Time called as Lester was ready to make his pitch.
If this was the NBA, the Red Sox would need a 22nd timeout.
Absolutely. And you've got to give Joe Madden and his coaching staff a lot of credit. After the game got away from him emotionally in game 1, Madden talked to his players and talked to his coaches, and his instructions were touch the players today and see how they're feeling. Remind them to slow the game down, and they've been back at it. There's more instruction going on with Upton. Madden walked down himself. Said, BJ, you know, there's no place to go on that play. Stop at second base. We've just pulled one off. Pena crossed up the defense with a perfect bunt, and you just run to second base and stop.
2 balls and a strike. Longoria, who scored 2 tonight, and Lester had him off stride 2-2. What a future Upton and Longoria figure to have in a Rays uniform.
Well, think about it this way. You were talking about Upton and the way he can run, and he just glides. He has such great speed. Might have worked against him there because he thought at some point with the third baseman coming in, Youkilis, if he makes that throw, he might be able to go to third base. Worked against him.
Longoria takes a called 3rd strike over the inside corner. 2 outs, 6 for Lester in the game. And the big left-hander out of Tacoma, Washington, now 1 out away from escaping 5th inning trouble. This could be a big momentum swinging inning. Remember, the Rays could have had 2 on, nobody out. Now they're 1 out away from getting nothing out of this 5th inning. And the Red Sox will have their 9 1-2 hitters coming up.
And it could be a killer the other way around if with 2 outs somehow Crawford comes out with a 2-out hit. That's a backbreaker.
Crawford 0 for 2 against Lester tonight. 3 out of 16 in his career. And that one fouled off the glove of Veritek for a quick strike 1.
We had talked about why Carl Crawford is batting in the 5th spot in this lineup, and Joe Madden, the manager, suggested it because his timing isn't quite in mid-season form. He likes the ability to hit ground balls and utilize his speed with 2 outs. He doesn't hit the ball in the air that frequently.
And it looks like Boston, Buck and Ron, don't think that Crawford can pull Lester. They've got Ellsbury swung around toward left, Bay a little shallow and toward the line in straightaway left.
And people always ask, why do they play him to pull in the infield and the other way in the outfield? Because that's what the charts say. When the ball's in the air, he will go the other way.
Tried left field that time and fouled it straight back. 1-2.
Yeah, generally left-handed hitters pull the low ball and hit the high ball the opposite field. So that's why you play them in those different alignments.
Again, the big crowd at Fenway tries to help Lester out here. And Crawford bounced that off Veritek.
Now, both strikeouts for Crawford have come on the curveball, 1 swinging and 1 taken.
Crawford did not have a single at-bat in September. Had surgery on a dislocated finger tendon. Played just 109 games in regular season, like so many of his teammates, getting his first taste of postseason in 2008 and making the most of it. And nearly got hit. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
You know, we saw Veritek the pitch before go out to talk to John. The reason he wanted to talk to him there is to change the signs. You have a veteran player on second base, Carlos Pena, a curveball in the dirt that Crawford was able to foul. The catcher will think, boy, that's too good of a pitch to be able to foul off.
Missed inside. Lester not happy with that delivery. Full count, 3-2.
Anytime you have an extended at bat, you give the base runner at second base an opportunity to pick up on the signs and relay location to the hitter. And against a guy as talented as John Lester, that's invaluable. That's why Veritek will wait so long to set up. He will call location and then wait till the last moment to move where he wants it.
Here's the payoff. And Crawford hits that high in the air down the left field line. Bay on the run makes the play as that ball slicing away from him. Well, did the Rays run themselves out of a chance to score, and will it cost him? B.J. Upton, 2 wide a turn, slipped and is tagged out in the top of the 5th. There's your score as we head to the bottom of the 5th inning. Cora, Ellsbury, and Pedroia up for the Red Sox in a surprising score in Game 3. There's a beautiful look at Fenway Park and our aerial coverage provided to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you've got to get DirecTV. And how can you not be a sports fan when you have the good fortune of seeing a Major League ball game at Fenway Park, America's most beloved ballpark, they call it. And it's easy to understand why. As Alex Cora goes to work, he flied out and ended Boston's second. So he's 0 for 1 and takes a strike. Missed the inside corner. And the count evens 1-1. Buck talked earlier about the maturation of Matt Garza in this, his first season with the Tampa Bay Rays. It was not always so smooth sailing for him on the mound, in the clubhouse, and with his battery mate Deoner Navarro this year.
Yeah, they really had some problem, and it all came to a head down in Texas on the 8th of June on the mound during the game. Navarro and Garza had a confrontation, and then they carried it into the dugout down into the tunnel. It came in the 4th inning, and they took it down into the dugout. And what had happened was Garza's very emotional, and they just channeled his emotions.
Bouncing ball to second. Iwamura to his right. Shot puts a throw to first and gets Cora for out number 1.
When Garza first came over here, he was really emotional and really tightly wrapped, and he was focusing his emotions in the wrong direction. He would come into the dugout, he'd kick the water cooler, he would show up his teammates. And Joe Maddon talked with Matt Garza and Deoner Navarro before that incident down in Dallas. He told Garza, listen, Deoner is our leader. Navi is the guy that we're going to all look to behind the plate to give you pitchers the leadership. And to his credit, from that point forward, Matt Garza has become a model citizen and a very good pitcher. Joe Maddon said he had never seen anybody turn his personality around as dramatically as Matt Garza has this season.
And how refreshing is it for a professional athlete, or anybody in any endeavor, quite frankly, admit that not only was that attitude change needed, it had to happen. And that's exactly what Garza told us down in St. Petersburg. I had to change, and he did.
It had to change, but it's got to come from the right messenger. And that's the key, I think, with Joe Maddon. That's the job he's done with this young team, is that he's very thoughtful, he's very intelligent, and he chooses his words perfectly.
Maddon not a man for many meetings, as you mentioned, Buck. Guy that'll just go around and talk to his players individually, gets his message across. Longoria is example A of that in this series.
Kind of tests the waters, doesn't he, Buck?
Absolutely. And the last place a player wants to go is into the manager's office.
It's only bad news usually when you go in there.
High fly ball off the bat of Ellsbury into center. Upton is under that, and 2 men are out.
Matt Garza, after that incident June 8th, before that incident, his ERA was .438. Since then, he's dropped a whole runoff. It's down to .337 since that incident. So obviously it had a positive impact on his professional career.
You've managed in the big leagues. What's tougher, managing the game or managing the people?
Oh, the entire position is managing. The definition is you manage people, no question about it. 25 guys, 5 coaches, press, media guys, GMs. I mean, you're managing everything. No, there's no question about it. The managers will tell you the easiest part of the game is once the game starts.
1-0 count to Pedroia, and that's ripped foul toward the Rays dugout. Count evens at a ball and a strike.
But one thing that's consistent in this postseason, leadership behind the plate. You look at all 4 teams, they've got a good catcher. Good teams take their catcher's personality on. Energetic leadership. Navarro's been a great clutch hitter. Of course, we know what the captain means to the Red Sox. When you think about it, Ron, the focal point of your team, whether you're the pitcher, the infielder, the outfielder, everybody looks at the catcher on every pitch.
He's the one that's got to start it. The quarterback of your team.
Base is clear with 2 outs for Pedroia, who has singled and has doubled tonight. But nobody's been able to chase him home yet. The Red Sox have 5 hits, trailed by a 5-run score.
And you look at the 2 catchers in the National League Championship Series. Russell Martin, you saw his emotions last night. Carlos Ruiz, the same. You've got to have leadership behind the plate.
Two count, and Navarro too is another player who has been asked to mature by his manager Joe Maddon. A very different Navarro in 2008 than the start of spring training 2007.
Yeah, he came into camp in 2007 overweight, out of shape, hurt himself, pulled a hamstring, and missed a bunch of time. And during the exit meeting after that season, Joe Maddon said that'll never happen again. Get yourself in shape and you can be a leader on this team.
He's been that and a whole lot more as Garza issues his first walk of the game. Pedroia perfect at the plate, 2 for 2 with a walk now. And again, David Ortiz a chance with one swing to get this Red Sox crowd back in the game.
We saw that coaching staff a little befuddled. 5-0. Pedroia up. 3-2 pitch. Curveball. A strange choice, I think, when you have that kind of a lead.
And you know what you want to do is if you're paying attention, you go, well, what's going on out there, boys? We kind of just turn around and look at the scoreboard. You know, Sparky Anderson always told his players the scoreboard would tell you all the strategy you need to know.
And as you know, in this park, you walk people. You're asking for problems with Ortiz and Youkilis due next. There are 2 outs. 5-0 Rays in the 5th. And are you detecting a pattern in how the Rays are pitching Ortiz in this series?
Yeah, they're trying to rush him in. Soft away. Hard fastballs in. Right now, it looks like David Ortiz is just a little in between.
Of course, he had that wrist injury, but I think physically it's healed. Mentally, it's still on his mind.
And in reality, tonight, 0 for 2. And a ball and a strike to the Boston designated hitter.
And you can see the frustration, a little smile going, man, that's another fastball I should have hammered. But he's just a tick off.
And when he's hot, he does not miss that pitch.
And the Rays shift for him. Iwamura even more toward the foul line, playing very deep at second base. As Ortiz very pull conscious so far in this 2008 playoff run. 1 ball, 1 strike. Popped up again. He pulled it and into shallow center. Upton is under. It's 53 at bats and counting for David Ortiz without a postseason home run, and it's 5-0 Rays after 5. This American League Championship Series coverage on TBS is presented by Kia Motors. The Tampa Bay Rays have come to Fenway Park and have played long ball against John Lester. A 4-run 3rd inning has them in front after 5 by 5. And Willie Ibar to lead things off against John Lester. And Lester jumps ahead with a quick called strike. Ibar singled on the first pitch he saw tonight. Took second on a pass ball, was stranded in the second. The Rays did score an unearned run in that frame. On a ground ball off the bat of Dioner Navarro. So Ibar, Navarro, Rocco Baldelli are coming up. And that one bounces into the second row of seats near the Rays dugout. The Boston bullpen has been up and busy since the 3rd inning, and they're working again now as Lester up to 90 pitches. And a swinging strike 2. Or make that strike 3, I beg your pardon. 7 for John Lester. Interesting point that Buck was talking about in managing people for a major league skipper, and here is Joe Maddon's philosophy on managing this young Rays club.
Baseball's not like football. I played football, and you could have that real severe rah-rah moment and, you know, get guys together and bang heads against walls, and all that stuff works in football. It doesn't work in baseball. Baseball, it's really much more about listening and conversation. And for me, motivation is primarily, you got to build a relationship first, number one, because if you don't have that, then you can't be constructively critical. They won't listen. And when I say they, anybody won't. When you have a relationship built and you say something to somebody in a manner that you're attempting to make them better, they will listen. They won't become defensive.
And I guess, guys, what makes it so interesting for watching this Madden-led ball club, not only have they tried every managerial personality you can possibly have with Larry Rothschild, Hal McRae, Lou Piniella, now Joe Maddon, they've also tried every style of putting together a ball club and have finally hit on one that works in St. Pete.
Well, I think it's the only one that can work if you are quote unquote a small market team. You have to develop your own players and have them grow together. That way they care about the name on the front, not the name on the back. So you have guys that like each other first and foremost, and then they will fight together, as we have seen back in spring training when Johnny Gomes challenged Shelley Duncan. Then here in Boston when James Shields stood up for his infielders and hit Coco Crisp in the leg. This team will fight for one another, and that's how you learn how to win. You know, they've lost for 10 straight years, and you hate to lose together, but boy, how sweet is it when you turn it around and you win together with the same guys.
And remarkable, too, the most wins they ever had in a single season was 70. That's the most. And this year, 97 victories for the Rays. They've sprinkled in some veterans, guys like Cliff Floyd, whom we mentioned. How about the contributions of Troy Percival, who's hurt and not with the club for this ALCS? But Percival really brought a calming influence as well to that Rays bullpen and to the starting staff, too, with a simple gesture he performed in spring training by wearing a t-shirt in a spring training workout for this Rays club. Shields, Kazmir, Garza equals Smoltz, Glavine, and Avery.
Just to compare the young talented arms of the Rays to those great young pitchers in the Braves history.
Well, a walk to Baldelli with 2 outs will end the night for left-hander John Lester. A 4-run third inning. The big difference for him and the Red Sox as the Rays are up big in Game 3. Excuse me? It's 5-0. The Tampa Bay Rays lead the Red Sox here in the top of the 6th inning. A man on with 2 men out. And it's time for our moments that change the game, brought to you by Viagra. Game 2 of the 1916 World Series. The Bambino Babe Ruth pitched a World Series record 14-inning complete game to help the Red Sox beat the Brooklyn Robins 2-1. Boston won that series in 5 games, capturing its only back-to-back World Series titles. How about that? For more moments that change the game, log on to si.com/moments. Yeah, not only was Babe Ruth a prolific home run hitter, he was a terrific pitcher as well in his early days.
Well, in 1916, he had 23 wins and just a measly 323 2/3 innings pitched that season. Here's Paul Byrd into the game. Paul Byrd, of course, did a fine job down the stretch of starting for the Red Sox this year after coming over from Cleveland. 11-12 record this year. He's the kind of guy that bend not break kind of guy who give up a lot of hits, have a lot of base runners, but usually comes up biggest when in the toughest moments.
Last pitch September 24th when he faced his former team Cleveland. Went 5 innings that day, 4 runs, 11 hits.
He made 8 starts for the Red Sox after coming over here in August, and he had a 4-2 record. Just a veteran presence, a guy that has had a nice career. Just picked up an extra arm to add some depth to their rotation.
Well, he came in here pitching from the stretch, but if he continues in the game, you'll see he has a very distinct motion, almost the 1916 motion.
Yeah, the old-fashioned windup,
yeah.
Right? As Jason Bartlett bats for the 3rd time. All Rays so far tonight. As Bird misses low.
Well, the one thing that's different for these 2 ball clubs, the Red Sox have a fairly fresh bullpen because they didn't abuse their bullpen in Game 2. They sent Josh Beckett out there for the 5th inning, and it didn't work, but their bullpen is in pretty good order.
There was some concern about Jonathan Papelbon after he was hit with that bouncing ball in Tampa Bay. Against the Rays, a liner to short caught off the bat of Bartlett, and Papelbon is good to go should he be needed for the Red Sox. They hope he will be as they trail it by 5. Well, there are quite a few long faces out on Yawkey Way outside Fenway Park tonight, and that's why 5-0. The Rays lead it in the bottom of the 6th inning. Kevin Youkilis against Matt Garza. He just continues to pound that strike zone with mid-90s heat.
You know, if you're a Red Sox fan, you say, who is this guy, Matt Garza, to be able to shut down this offense? But he had a couple shutouts this year. He had a 1-hitter against Florida, so he can have these flashes of brilliance.
Yeah, you're not a #1 pick unless there's something special about you, and he was a #1 pick by the Minnesota Twins coming out of Fresno State.
Garza with that little glove wiggle as he gets the grip and turns it loose. Youkilis jammed. Longoria at the line. Perfect throw.
Well, that's that pitch that is so important. That inside pitch that's a strike because you have to swing at it. You hear a lot of pitchers talk about pitching inside, but if it's off the plate, it doesn't mean a thing. But if it's that strike inside, hitters have to hit it, and that's the most uncomfortable pitch you can hit.
That's why as a catcher you have to read that. If you call a pitch in and the person misses and throws it away, well, you really haven't done anything in your sequence of pitches. You have to probably go back in there again.
And Garza, like John Lester before tonight's start, mowing down the leadoff man. He's 6 for 6 in tonight's game. Now faces J.D. Drew.
There's a perfect example of an ineffective inside pitch. J.D. just raised his arms up and let it go by. No urgency whatsoever.
Didn't have to move his feet. Didn't push him off the plate.
That's out of play foul.
You can see the difference in hitters' swings. When that ball's away, he's freed up. Remember how you always hear hitters wanting to extend their arms? Well, that pitch outside allows you to extend your arms.
And you can't be perfect as a pitcher. The reason you pitch inside is that occasionally you can get away with a mistake away because you're going to make mistakes.
Not too many from Garza, though, tonight, as Drew serves that one down the left field line, but was late and is behind now.
And when you have the kind of stuff that Garza has, if you're working on top of the count and you have 1-2 counts, he has so many weapons that he can put you away. He throws 95 miles an hour. He's got that good 12-6 curveball. He's got a changeup he can throw after 3 consecutive fastballs.
And boy, has he managed his pitches very well. If you can stay around 15 pitches per inning, you're going to pitch deep into a game.
And the Rays would love that to happen tonight, as they're not sure if Dan Wheeler is going to be able to go after his remarkable 3 innings and a third in Game 2 down in St. Petersburg. Joe Maddon said that would be a first pitch decision once Wheeler played catch. And if Joe had his druthers in our pregame chat, he would rather not have to use Wheeler at all tonight. And Drew couldn't stop himself. Ball pops away from Navarro, but no trouble. J.D. Drew is retired, 2 down, and after our game tonight, you can flip the switch over to our friends at Fox. Joe Buck and Tim McCarver will try to keep Vin Scully and Harry Callis from getting too angry in Game 4 of the National League Championship Series. Joe Blanton, Derek Lowe coming back on short rest. That game begins at 8 o'clock Eastern time.
Well, things have gotten a little ugly out there, and it started in Game 2 with Brett Myers on the mound. A few pitches behind Manny Ramirez, and they got into a little bit of a beanball war last night. The umpires did a nice job of quelling everything, and I'm sure they'll be thinking about baseball tonight.
Well, Kuroda's mistake, it's not a mistake to throw at a hitter or to brush a hitter back, Victorino, but you can't throw at someone's head. You know, that's their livelihood, and got families at home, and Victorino had no problem with him pitching inside, just not at his head.
And that's what he was gesturing to Kuroda. Rib cage is fine, but don't throw at the head. And he said the same thing to Russell Martin.
And you don't need a translator for that.
No.
No.
1 ball, 1 strike to Jason Bay, who has an infield hit and 2 trips. Off his foot foul on a cool night. That won't feel good. 1-2.
And another ugly swing on an inside pitch.
The ball has late movement, down movement, and what happens as a hitter, you just swing over the top of that ball, fouled it right off his shin.
All you can hit's the top half of that ball as it's sinking and moving, and you see it, think you're going to square up on it, and the movement takes it right to the bottom of your bat.
One ball, 2 strikes, base is empty. Garza in command. The Fenway crowd numb tonight. And it's 2-2. Conte waits next. He's giving the Red Sox faithful something to cheer about. He's 2 for 2.
Not Manny being Manny, Bay being Bay.
And now a full count. Well, the Red Sox, with the trade of Manny Ramirez to the Dodgers, said their goal was to be a better team, not taking anything away from the enormous talent that Manny Ramirez has. Jason Varitek has told us, look, you don't replace a player of Manny Ramirez's caliber. Dustin Pedroia said 25 guys pulling in the same direction. And so far in this postseason, the Red Sox have been a much different but still very dangerous club, as Bay is aboard with the second walk of the night from Garza. He walked Pedroia with a breaking ball and 2 strikes, this time a fastball high and tight.
You see the frowns on the face of the coaches. Never like to see walks in this kind of situation, especially in front of Kotsay. As you said, Chip, 2 for 2. I think there's also a chip on the shoulder of the Red Sox as a team. They would like to get to the World Series and win the World Series without Manny, and say, you know what, as a team, we're still, without Manny, we can be just as good, still be a World Series champion.
Doesn't a team have something to prove, even if they're defending their championship with or without Manny? But it's even more so, you think?
I think it's more so. I think they would love to get the ring despite Manny being traded.
1 ball, no strikes. So not in spite of Manny, but despite the move to the Dodgers.
Yes.
Pedroia and Kotsay a perfect night. But the Red Sox really have had trouble chasing runners around or in. They're 1 for their last 16 with men on in this postseason. And Garza now 2-0 with 2 outs and over 100 pitches.
And here comes the pitching coach, Jim Hickey, quickly out of the dugout. And Navarro's out as well. And they're talking about how you get back in the zone. And we talked about it earlier. When you're elevating the fastball, generally what's happening is your body's ahead of your arm. And you've got to lead with your arm, get your hand out in front again. And that's starting to get some activity going down in the Rays bullpen.
It's almost like when you have the bat, you really are ringing it and holding it too hard. It's really hard to have a nice, clean, crisp swing. Same when you're pitching. If you're out there squeezing the ball, trying to overthrow, that's when you run into these little areas where you can't throw the ball over the plate.
Most hitters will tell you the longest home runs they hit when they take a very easy swing. It's just like a golfer on a driving range. When you try to muscle up, chances are it's going to go crooked somewhere.
So Kotsay in the driver's seat. 2 balls, no strikes. Whatever Hickey said paid off with that pitch, huh? 2-1.
The scouting reports are so in-depth now. I think that's important, that a pitching coach knows his personnel. There are guys that relish information. There are guys that can't function. You see, that's the spray chart. That will indicate all the balls put into play from Matt Garza, all the hitters against Matt Garza. That'll show you where the defense should be aligned.
2-2.
But there are some guys, Ronnie, that don't like any information. What were you? Did you like a lot of information?
I liked a lot of information in between my starts. I'll take it all. I want it all. But once you get to the game day, you hope that you've processed it enough that you can let your physical gifts take over. Because sometimes you can be burdened by it. What should I do here? What pitch should work at 2-1 instead of going free and easy? And sometimes it's important on that day to react to how the hitters go approaching you, not what the charts say.
Down and in, ball 3, and Garza bidding to walk himself into some trouble here in the 6th inning with Varitek next. Again, it gives the crowd at Fenway a chance to warm up and speak up.
J.P. Howell, the young left-hander, loosening up. They haven't had much to cheer about here at Fenway tonight.
3-2. Runner goes. Swing, fly ball, left center field, tailing away from Upton, but look at him glide into the gap, and he will haul it in. Garza walks a man with 2 outs, but leaves him stranded and leads after 6. The music of the Dropkick Murphys here in Boston as we take you to the 7th inning at Fenway Park. And the top of the Rays order coming up. Iwamura, Upton, and Pena against right-hander Paul Byrd, who will get a chance around to feature that old-fashioned windup here with nobody on or out.
Really flails back with those arms, gets that motion started. He said he was just kicking it around one day. He was struggling. A lot of times in the middle of the year, you know, you try to do something different if you're in a bad stretch. Did that, and he said he felt much easier getting the right slot, that right arm slot.
And he has Iwamura off stride, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Also, he doesn't possess the kind of stuff that Matt Garza has, so he does a lot of things by deception, and that only helps.
John Lester started the game for the Red Sox, went 5 2/3 innings, allowed 8 hits, 5 runs, 4 of them earned. And Iwamura drives 1 to left that Bay will watch ricochet high off the monster. Iwamura into second with a leadoff double. He's got 2 of those in tonight's game 3.
Well, he's done a good job going to the opposite field here in this ballpark, taking advantage of the green monster. That ball is away from him, but he keeps his hands inside the ball and hits it up off the green monster and hustles into second base with his second double.
When they've had success against Iwamura, they pitched him inside. When you go away, that is his strength.
So he has 4 hits in this American League Championship Series, and Tampa Bay looking for some more and looking for a 2-1 lead with B.J. Upton up. A 3-run homer, the defining blow of this ball game. That came against John Lester. He also legged out an infield hit before he overran second base and was thrown out by Kevin Youkilis.
3rd inning, B.J. Upton hitting against John Lester. A little cut fastball. He didn't get it inside, and he hit it over the green monster seats towards the Mass Pike. His 4th postseason home run.
And a strike. 2 Upton evens up the count.
His 5th home run. I'm sorry, misspoke. He's hitting them in bunches.
Can't keep count.
He and Longoria combined, and again, for all those years of futility down in Tampa St. Pete with his Rays franchise, if you look at the glass as half full, the half full part is they've picked very highly in the draft, and they've drafted and traded exceptionally well these last couple of years. Upton takes a called strike. He was the number 2 pick in the 2002 draft, and sadly in our sport, as in so many others, the men and women who've worked so hard to make these teams good often aren't around to enjoy the fruits of their labor. Chuck Lamar, the original general manager of the Rays, had a very big hand in building this current Tampa Bay club. And Upton out on strikes over the inner half. 1 away in the 7th.
Well, he might be shaking his head, but this is that little front door slider. He throws it right at the hip of the right-handed hitter, bends it over that inside corner. And what happens to the hitter, Buck, you know this better than anyone, is that ball starts at you and you give up on it.
Yeah, you quit on it. You don't expect it to have any break on it and have it go inside. This is a curious meeting here as a pitching coach, John Farrell, has come out to Paul Byrd right now. And they've got a base open, obviously, in this situation. Just a reminder of Pena's strengths and weaknesses. Certainly, there are certain things that John Lester could do against Pena that Paul Byrd can't do.
And really, with a veteran pitcher, it's really John's going out there to test the waters and to give the veteran pitcher, say, hey, listen, how do you feel going up against Pena? You know, Is it better to match up against the right-hander? Pena's 6 for 16, of course, off Paul Bird. So you're really just asking him who he'd rather face in this situation, because as a Red Sox team, you can't give up any more runs.
Yeah, they're already down 5, and it's gotten very late, 7th inning. So Pena tonight with a bunt hit. A terrific play by Kevin Youkilis on that bunt in the 5th inning. Had no play at first. Faked the throw there. Pivoted, fired to second, and Alex Cora was able to catch Upton off the bag for a big first out in that 5th inning. And fisted to the right side in a shift. Pedroia comes in, fields cleanly, running to third now, and 2 are out. That brings up Longoria, who launched another homer. Homered in game 2, homers in game 3 in inning 3.
Well, trying to keep that ball in the outside corner, but when you have a left-hander like Lester, his strength is always getting on the outside of that ball, throwing that ball inside the righties. That one trailed back over the middle.
Well, he really has a beautiful finish to his swing, doesn't he?
Very Mike Piazza-like in the way that he finishes, a long finish.
And the ball really jumps as they try to jam him inside.
And you know, when you see him, sometimes the scouts will think that he has a long swing. He really doesn't. He fires to that area well. He just has a long follow through. Very much like Ryan Braun for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Another thing these young hitters are doing, they're hitting without taking a stride. They just push back on that front foot just to get their weight transfer back on the back side, and then keep that foot on the ground and pivot around the axis of that front foot.
Longoria, a 27 home run rookie season.
No stride whatsoever. And watch how he just extends from contact all the way through. Tremendous wrist roll as he gets that backspin on the ball. And he finishes up, Ron, very much like Mike Piazza. That's a good call.
And that home run total in his rookie year, the most in the American League since Nomar in 1997. He lines out to third. Iwamura stranded at third as we stretch at Fenway Park. The Rays have a commanding lead of 5-0. And as is 5-0 is your score. We head to the bottom of the 7th inning. Matt Garza this year was only 4-6 away from Tropicana Field. He is pitching a whole lot better than that tonight. He got 5 runs early. He's made it stand up with only 2 walks in the game. He's retired all 6 Red Sox leadoff hitters in game 3 tonight, and he has the lower portion of the order due up first here at Fenway Park. It starts with Jason Varitek, who has struck out and popped out tonight. And pitch number 108 on the night sails high and outside.
Well, you see the ERA versus the AL East. John Lester above there. Matt Garza just right behind him. And if you're pitching well against the American League East, you are having some kind of year. You got to face that Baltimore team that didn't pitch very well. They hit this year. Of course, the Yankees with their lineup.
Yeah, pretty remarkable. He would be right there with John Lester in ERA in this tough division. He had 7 wins in the division.
High strike, Varitek. Thought it clipped him on the way by. Brian Honora says no. And now that conversation continues. 2 balls and a strike. Did it clip him?
That ball didn't look like it hit him.
No.
I think what Varitek was saying, that ball almost hit me, that and you're calling it a strike.
Probably. That's what he was saying.
Well, that right arm looks like it's right out over the inside corner of the plate.
That's everybody wears those elbow protection pads and forearm protection pads. They can hang out over the plate and they don't have to worry about that inside pitch.
Yanked foul, got fastball.
And if you don't have to worry about it, you can turn on it like that.
Yeah. That to me is one of the changes that I would like to see go away, but I understand it because you have so much invested in these players financially that you're trying to keep them on the field, but it takes away any kind of fear factor for the pitcher.
Well, it sure does. You have that padding on, you can hang out over the plate and wear out those outside pitches.
Veritek coaxes a walk. First leadoff man of the night to reach against Garza. He's up to 113 pitches, and let's see if the Rays bullpen starts to get busy.
J.P. Howell was up earlier, so it won't take him long to get ready. He has gotten hot. Now it's just a matter of throwing 5 or 6 pitches, and he'll be ready to go.
And if you're the manager, Matt, really what you're looking at, guys, is not that he walked the hitter, but where his pitches were. They're all up in the strike zone. That's a telltale sign that your pitcher either is tiring or he just, is losing a little bit here later in the game.
And the danger is for Boston as well. The lower portion of the order getting on, you start to feed the middle of this Boston order. At Fenway Park, as Ellsbury in the throes of a vicious slide, 0 for his last 20, including 0 for 3 tonight. See, now, on deck is Ellsbury. Alex Cora is coming up, so Cora's got to get on to give Ellsbury and the rest of that order a shot against Garza or that bullpen. Cora 0 for 2 in the game. Looks high again. Ball 1.
Well, what you want to do is manage this lineup to the point where the damaged guys in the middle don't come up with runners on. That's what Matt Garza's got to concern himself with now. Be aggressive down here at the bottom of the order and try to get some outs.
As a pitcher, you thinking about that?
Yeah, of course you are. Yeah, anytime you turn in the lineup over, you always try to manage the game and the inning.
Bouncing ball, fair and down the right field line. Veritek around second, on his way to third. They're at the corners. Bad throw. Gets away. No advance, though.
Well, Baldelli looked like that ball slipped out of his hand. He didn't have much of a challenging throw at all. He got to it in real good shape, played it off the wall down in the right field corner. All he was trying to do was get it to second base. Alex Cora keeps it inside the bag, bouncing down the right field line. Baldelli plays it very well, but when he comes up throwing, looked like he was thinking about throwing it to another base.
I think the problem was he thought that maybe Veritek was going to round third and he needed to throw that through the cutoff man to home plate. That changed at the last minute.
Boy, he sure did, and he looked like he had home plate on his mind for some reason, but certainly that's not the play. It looked like he changed his mind in the middle of the throw.
So Garza departs after 6 innings plus. He allows 3 walks, but no runs so far. But the Red Sox are in business in the 7th. It's 5-0 first and third for the Red Sox with nobody out. And our aerial coverage is provided to you by DirecTV. Now get over 130 of your favorite channels in HD. Well, guys, one of the strengths of this Rays club all year long has been their bullpen. We'll see how strong they can be on the road this time as they try to protect a 5-run lead with the Big Boppers due up for the Red Sox.
And one of their strengths has been all season long J.P. Howell, who can pitch every day. Not an overpowering fastball, but has a good breaking ball and a good changeup. Last minute instructions here from Longoria.
He's got his hands full right here. First and third, nobody out. He's done a great job of stranding runners, and he's trying to pick up Matt Garza's runners right here. Garza was great. 116 pitches, 6 plus 2. George Hendrick acknowledging a great effort from Matt Garza.
So a lefty-lefty matchup here with Ellsbury is 0 for 20. Red Sox fans hoping he can snap out of that and bring some life back to this ballpark. And a strike from Howell, part of a Rays bullpen this postseason that has given up just 4 earned runs in 20 innings. And 22 strikeouts in that stretch. That's a 1.80 collective bullpen ERA in the playoffs. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, the Red Sox have just really struggled. You see, have not been shot at home since the Game 5 against the Cubs in 1918. Wow.
Well, they're in good position to continue that string in this 7th inning. 1st and 3rd with nobody out. Swing and a fly ball hit to right. Baldelli is there, makes the catch. He'll keep the double play in order. It's a sacrifice fly. The shutout is gone, but there's a start for the Red Sox. 5-1 now, 7th inning.
J.P. Howell has been so good coming in with runners on base. During the regular season, he stranded 29 of 33. 88% right there. He allows one to come in, but they'll trade it out for a run right here at this point of the game.
But now it gets a little tougher for Pedroia's up. Pedroia 2 for 2 with a walk. He's hitting to 17 double plays in the regular season. And let's see how Howell approaches him. Double play ball maybe. Longoria off stride for 1. Throw to first. Got him. Howell got out of it. Unbelievable. J.P. Howell, and that Rays pen continues to sparkle. Red Sox settle for 1, and we are through 7 in Game 3. The Rays still in command, lead it 5-1. It's now at thecomedyfestival.com. Boy, what a double play started by Evan Longoria and the turn by Iwamura at second to erase a big Boston 7th inning threat. Carl Crawford will try to get one of those, or that run back, I should say, in this 8th inning as he fists one over Pedroia and into center field.
Now take a look at the double play with 1 out. Evan Longoria, watch where he throws this ball from, but look where it is, right in the chest of Aki Iwamura at second base. Don Zimmer, the longtime baseball manager, coach, player, said he has never seen anybody like Longoria who can make that throw on the money from anywhere on the field. He is so accurate with that feed to second base, it really makes Iwamura's pivot very easy.
Here's Ibar with a fast runner at first. And a quick strike. And Iwamura, remember, was the third baseman who moved to second and surely appreciates those perfect pegs from Longoria.
Well, you never put your second baseman in harm's way when you give him a good throw, because he's balanced. He can get out of the way of the oncoming base runner and make a strong throw. Good double play combination.
1 ball, 1 strike to Ibar, who has a 1-4-3 offensive night. Busy box score. 1 through 7 for the Rays. In fact, it's Rocco Baldelli, the only Tampa Bay starter without a hit tonight. And that just missed. 4 ball 2.
Bird doing a nice job with that slide step home, really keeping Crawford at first base as he tries to time him. Veritek with the thumb. That's the throw over to first.
Paul Bird begins his second full inning of relief of John Lester tonight. Rays jumped all over him for 4 in the 3rd with a couple of homers. Runner goes, hit and run on, line drive left field. Bay handles on a hop. No chance to get the speedy Crawford. And Tampa Bay keeps the pressure on. They now have him 1st and 3rd in the top of the 8th inning.
Joe Madden knows that he's got to continue to push the offense, puts the hit and run on with Crawford. Once Crawford sees it on the ground in front of Bay, his speed allows him to move easily over to third base.
Even though he didn't have a good read off, it doesn't matter when you have speed like Crawford.
Now the infield for the Red Sox has to come in for Navarro. He's 1 for 3 with an RBI. 11 hits for the Rays in Game 3 tonight. And a quick strike at the belt.
Well, Navarro had a disappointing at bat in Game 1 with his team down 1-0 and popped up with runners at first and third and nobody out. Shallow left field. Didn't drive the run home. But this year he has been so much better with runners in scoring position. He's improved his average in those situations by 100 points over last year.
And how about the Rays, who struggled so mightily to hit for a high average, struggled to score more than 3 runs a game in this ballpark in the regular season series. 5 runs, 11 hits against a man that was pitching as well as anybody in baseball from September 1st on.
And Steve Henderson, a longtime hitting coach here with Tampa Bay, has to be very proud of the way his young hitters have handled the at-bats here in this ballpark tonight.
We commented on how aggressively they swung in the first inning. 4 or 5 pitches thrown by Lester got him 3 outs. Ground ball to Pedroia. He's coming home. Throw up the line. Varitek hangs on. Big collision. Crawford's out. Pedroia cuts off a run with a good throw to Varitek, who's never been afraid to block that plate, Buck.
Well, you draw your infield in and you're going to have to block the plate because the manager has said to you this run's important. Hot shot right to Pedroia. Look at Varitek take position perfectly. Steps into the base path. Carl Crawford bowls him over trying to jar the ball loose, and immediately Varitek holds the ball for Brian O'Nora, the umpire, to look at it. Again, that catcher's glove with the extended webbing allows him to hold on to the baseball and then show it to the umpire.
Well, just the throw is the problem. It goes up the line a little and is low, so you know they think that's an easy play. It's a real difficult play to not only make that catch, but also with the runner bearing down and apply the tag.
But there's only one place for the catcher to go on this play, and that's into the baseline. That's the only place that Carl Crawford's going to go. If you go out in front of home plate and try to tag him behind, you'll never get him out.
So the Rays will go to their bench with 1 man out and 2 now on. Fernando Perez, he is on to pinch run. Perez, one of the unsung heroes of Game 2 for the Rays. He's the man that scored on that very short sacrifice fly in the bottom of the 11th inning that won the game 9-8.
And don't be surprised if he tries to work for a lead and steal third.
Pedroia tries to keep him close. And a ball from Bird to Rocco Baldelli.
Perez is so fast. In this instance, if he tries to steal third and Navarro follows him, it might be a better throw to go to second base to get Navarro.
Count evens now 1-1.
What this does with Perez on second base is it allows you on that ground ball or hit to left field in this ballpark. Usually you can't score from second base, but Perez will be able to.
That's a little inside. 2 balls and a strike. Well, the Rays, a club that used their speed very, very well this year. Stole 142 bases in the regular season. 28 of those came in steals of third base. That was the most in baseball, tying them with the New York Mets, Ron. You saw a lot of guys stealing third. As that ball crushed deep left and high off the Sports Authority sign. A long home run for Rocco Baldelli. A 3-run shot. Eight runs for the Rays. It's 8-1. And the Fenway faithful head for the exits.
Well, what a moment for Rocco Baldelli. Grew up in Rhode Island, grew up a Red Sox fan, probably dreamed playing wiffle ball many times of hitting one over the Green Monster. And just a beautiful level swing. That ball a little in on him, but he got the hands inside that baseball.
Just 1 for 8 against Paul Bird before that home run, but he got the barrel of the bat on the ball and was able to drive it over the Green Monster.
So the Tampa Bay Rays, 4th most home runs in the American League in the regular season, have hit them in bunches in this series. We had 7 home runs hit in game 2. Tampa Bay tonight has ripped 3 of them, 2 of them 3-run shots.
Great perspective from the monster seats is that inside fastball just wasn't in far enough, and Baldelli hammered it high above the green monster seats.
Now Bartlett pops one foul and out of play.
What a day for Rocco Baldelli. He is here in his hometown, basically the club he grew up watching as a kid, and he got to share it with his 10-year-old brother Dante. Had him on the field during batting practice, and he told me, he said Dante was so nervous he could barely walk out onto the grass at Fenway Park, and now he's got something else to brag about, well, about his big brother hitting a home run.
Bartlett down on strikes. 2 men are out, and here's that scene on the Tampa Bay bench.
10-year-old Dante Baldelli sharing a dream with his big brother, and now that dream has just taken on a new meaning as Rocco has gone deep to provide some insurance for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Well, being myself personally from this area also, a chance to play in Fenway Park is always your dream when you're growing up, and I just got to do mine the first time in the World Series. I don't know how I got through that, but it worked out.
And things working out well for the Rays tonight. 8-1 in the 8th of game 3. And so now game 4, should this score stay in Tampa Bay's favor, becomes even more critically important for the Red Sox. They'll send Tim Wakefield to the mound against Andy Sonnenstein for the Rays. A ground ball to first. Kotze handles, wins the race to the bag. Inning over. Rocco Baldelli rips one over the green monster. A 3-run homer gives the Rays a 7-run lead. Hail to the Chief and hail to Frank. While you're at it, he's just one guy, but he makes a big impression. Frank Caliendo's back. Don't miss all new episodes of Frank TV starting Tuesday, October 21st at 11, only on TBS. Well, how big a blow was that Rocco Baldelli blast during the traditional 8th inning stretch? Only a half-hearted chant of Sweet Caroline on the PA system here at Fenway Park. And David Ortiz goes to work down 8-1. The strike has him behind.
Well, we know the Red Sox are a very veteran ball club, the reigning world champs. You just have to wonder how they're going to react to their ace, John Lester, being hit around here in game 3.
Well, we heard from Tom Verducci in the pregame show before game 2 about how this Red Sox team, with the trade of Manny Ramirez, has changed from a run production to a run prevention type ball club. It certainly hasn't happened tonight, and they're going to have to start finding some production from the likes of David Ortiz if they're going to even up this series here tomorrow night.
Well, he's had some opportunities with runners on base throughout the postseason, and he's just 1 for 13. So to this point, do you start scratching your head and say maybe they have missed men?
Fouled off Ortiz's foot, and the count to David, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I think it's more of a case, though, that he is in a slump, because you have Jason Bay, who's been hitting as hot as you can hit in the postseason. Euclid, before tonight's game, had 4 consecutive games of 3 or more hits behind David Ortiz. So it's more on David's, I think, shoulders than his teammates, who are performing well.
And let's give credit to big game James Shields. Let's give credit to Garza tonight. Those 2 men have pitched a terrific baseball in this American League Championship Series for the Rays.
And don't be mistaken, Joe Maddon's team has a lot of respect around the league. The Red Sox know how tough they are.
Ground ball first. Again, he pulls it. Pena will take care of Big Papi. And there is out number 1.
Well, You see they're not up to par. Josh Beckett had that tough game with 8 earned runs. And of course, John Lester is probably only bad starter since April. So when you're starting pitching in the playoffs does not perform up to snuff, you're going to be in harm's way.
Well, we had mentioned at the start of this series, you might not know the Tampa Bay Rays starting pitching at the start, but you will by the end.
It's been awfully good, and again, Andy Sonnenstein gets the ball in game 4 here tomorrow night. And for the Red Sox, now it gets very dicey. You have trouble in a game that Beckett's pitched. Lester's getting beat in game 3. You've got Tim Wakefield, a knuckleball pitcher, and that's at times, I'm sure, a flip of the coin as to how effective he can be. Then you go back to Dice K and all of the problems he's had keeping runners off base, but no trouble for Dice K in getting them out with runners on base. As you see the matchup for tomorrow night's game 4, our coverage begins at 7:30 here on TBS.
I think everyone around the country knows Tim Wakefield and that knuckleball, but Andy Sonnenstein, good control pitcher, only 37 walks this season, kind of changes speeds, throws all his pitches for strikes on any count, and like most of these young pitchers for the Tampa Bay Rays, very competitive.
Jim Hickey's got quite an interesting cast of characters in his 5-man rotation, and they're all distinctively different.
Youkilis awaits a 1-2, and he's down on strikes, and he in disbelief heads back to the Red Sox dugout. A lot of frustrated looks on the Red Sox hitters' faces in tonight's 8th inning.
Well, you made a good point there, Buck. You can really have a strong starting 5, and one of the strengths can be their diversity, because you see a different kind of style of pitching each and every night, and that can confuse an offensive ball club.
Quiet night for J.D. Drew. He has yet to hit the ball out of the infield. He has struck out twice, and he's rolled out to second.
Well, one thing managers and pitching coaches do is they set up their rotation to get the maximum effect for each of their pitchers. Andy Sonnenstein there going tomorrow. Red Sox hitters have been trying to catch up all night to Matt Garza, and tomorrow they're going to have to gear down to handle the off-speed offerings of Andy Sonnenstein.
Base is empty in the 8th. And off the plate to J.D. Drew.
Chip Judd mentioned the importance of Tampa Bay winning 2 out of 3 in September in a very pivotal series. Boston was closing ground on Tampa Bay. They beat him in game 1, but Tampa Bay didn't waver.
And they have controlled the middle of this Red Sox order tonight as J.D. Drew aboard with 2 outs. So Drew 1 for 4. And he keeps the inning alive for Jason Bay, who's reached on an infield hit and walked tonight. Tampa Bay won game 2 of this series 9-8. They're up 8-1 tonight. First time in postseason history for the Red Sox they've allowed 8 or more runs in consecutive games.
So you know the Red Sox have respect for Tampa Bay.
Yes.
They have seen it all year long. That's a remarkable stat. Consecutive postseason games, first time in their franchise history.
Much like we talked about John Lester as a pitching individual growing up before our very eyes, might want to say that about that team harboring that third base dugout, the Tampa Bay Rays. I know, Buck, we've talked about the comparisons. Which team do you compare them to? 69 Mets, 89 Cubs, which is one Don Zimmer has used, the Atlanta Braves. They might be forging their own destiny in 2008. As Howell strikes out Jason Bay, gives up a hit to Drew and nothing else. Ninth inning at Fenway Park. It's awfully quiet in Boston's back bay. Rays lead at 8-1. This American League Championship Series coverage on TBS is presented by Kia Motors. That is a surprising shot in a game started by John Lester tonight. He had been so magnificent in the first round of the playoffs for Boston. He was touched up for 5 runs in 5 2/3, and after Rocco Baldelli's long homer, the Fenway faithful heading home as we head to the ninth. Big blow early in the game provided by the man in the batter's box. B.J. Upton's 3-run shot put the Rays up by 4. But he had plenty of home run hitting company tonight. A little inside, and the count 2-2. And what appears at this point to be a lost cause for the Red Sox, Paul Burr doing some valuable work as a roller to short retires Upton. One man down, and here are the home run hitting heroics of the young Rays tonight.
Well, of course, the 3-run home run by Upton, the big blow, but in that same inning, Longoria with a long home run to left field, caught by a Rays fan. And then the 8th inning, really the one that's put this game away, Rocco Baldelli. Those are no cheap home runs, either one of those.
Now Longoria and Upton now have 9 home runs in the postseason. Red Sox have allowed 3 home runs in this game, consecutive games.
Pena hits a towering fly ball to left that carries and carries and carries and carries out of the ballpark. It's a home run. Carlos Pena unloads. And the Rays front office is loving every minute of this. It's 9-1 at Fenway Park.
Early in the game, the ball was not carrying, and then this ball right here just carries and carries and carries. Center field, opposite field home run. Pena hit an opposite field home run in the series in September off Mike Timlin in the 14th.
Longoria pops up behind the second base bag. Pedroia handles that. And 2 are out the 9th inning.
Well, you're starting to feel a little destiny, don't you, here, when you have the Tampa Bay Rays 9 equals 8. 9 and 8 have been their big numbers all year long. Last game, winning score for the Rays, 9-8. Tonight, 9 runs.
But you have to remember one thing about this Red Sox club. As a ground ball to second will end the inning. Until you have that 4th win in your back pocket, never count this team out in the American League Championship Series. Carlos Pena, a former Red Sox, drives one deep to left center field. A home run in the 9th for the Rays. 3 outs for a 2-1 lead in this American League Championship Series. Let's take a look at our Zantac relief pitching profile. It features Edwin Jackson, a 14-game winner.
Well, he was one of their good starters. It's been real hard for Evan Jackson. Kind of had to learn on the major league level. So he's had problems repeating his delivery. He's had problems with control, but the talent is certainly there. Another one of their fine young arms. 97 miles an hour.
Yeah,
no
he's
problem.
a former Dodger who was drafted in the 6th round of the 2001 June draft out of Shaw High School in Columbus, Georgia.
A liner is speared at third by Longoria. Kotsay retired. And there's your first out in the 9th inning. After our game concludes, our pal Ernie Johnson will hold court for Inside MLB presented by Captain Morgan. He'll be joined by Cal Ripken, Dennis Eckersley, and Harold Reynolds. They'll have highlights of tonight's game, post-game reaction, and a look ahead to Game 4 of our series here tomorrow night. And there's plenty to talk about in this one, as Jason Varitek and the Rays meet again in this 9th inning.
Well, if you're a Red Sox fan, you can be encouraged and optimistic given Wakefield's record against Tampa Bay. 19-5 for his career. Terry Francona said, well, I got the 3 top guys pitching twice in this 7-game series and a pretty good veteran in Wakefield in Game 4.
And is that the kind of pitch that could really put a young, aggressive, free-swinging team like the Rays into a slump in what now is going to turn out to be a shorter series?
You know, I just don't think they have a long enough memory to be worried about game to game.
Ground ball slowly hit to Iwamura. 2 outs in the 9th inning, and there is the man of the hour for tomorrow night. Tim Wakefield gets the ball for the Red Sox. He will try to even up this series.
Well, in recent history, though, the Red Sox have shown they can always come back. Right, 2004 down 3-0 to the Yanks in that series. In 2007 down 3-1 against the Indians. A lot of fight left.
Here's Cora, and Jackson misses to him low. 1 ball, no strikes.
Yeah, there's not a player on either team. The series is over by any means. There's going to be an awful lot of back and forth before this thing is over.
The Rays have nosed ahead. They haven't leapt ahead.
Wakefield is 5-2 in League Championship Series games.
And now the Red Sox down to their last strike tonight. Interesting about Wakefield, before this year, 19-3. He does have a 19-5 record, but he's 0-2 this year. So it is indeed a new year, a new era perhaps for these Tampa Bay Rays. 1-2 pitch is fouled away at third.
You know, and it's always good in these kind of games as a manager and as a team that the Red Sox know they're going to throw someone out there that nerves are not going to be a problem. Just execution, like all pitchers, are going to be a problem.
Matt Garza terrific tonight in 6 innings. John Lester roughed up. The booming bats of the Rays blasted away tonight against Terry Francona's squad for the 2nd game in a row. And now a full count, 3-2. What's left of the crowd at Fenway wants a rally of any kind. And a fly ball hit well to left. Crawford back on the track, and the Tampa Bay Rays have won game number 3 of this ALCS and take a 2-1 lead. 9-1 is the final score. Pitching, defense, and power on display for Joe Maddon's club tonight.
Well, the pitching part of it was Matt Garza, who gave them an excellent start. 6 innings plus. The bullpen did its job, and they just really teed off, didn't they?
Well, they sure did. Obviously, the long ball very important. B.J. Upton got it started with a 3-run home run. Evan Longoria drives in a run with his home run, his 4th in the postseason, and the Rays now are 40-12 when Evan Longoria drives in a run.
And that'll be the man that Tim Wakefield tries to control tomorrow night in Game 4 of our series here on TBS. Our American League Championship Series coverage on TBS has been presented by Kia Motors as John Lester suffers his first home loss since April 9th when the Tigers beat him at Fenway Park. 9 runs, 13 hits for the Rays, a run on 7 hits for the Boston Red Sox in Game 3 here tonight.
Well, what a different start for Matt Garza is. He was really in focus tonight in the game against Chicago in Game 3 of the division series. He looked distracted. He wasn't keyed in. He wasn't focused. He was battling a head cold. But tonight you could see determination and focus from the first pitch of the ball game.
And so for the third time in just over a month, Tampa Bay has lost the first game of a series with the Red Sox and have come back to win the next two. Craig Sager, these Rays are an amazing story, and they know they can go toe-to-toe with this Boston ball club.
Well, I'm with Matt Garza. We had our Charles Schwab time to talk with your manager, Joe Madden. He said, I think Matt Garza was kind of tired of hearing everybody talk about John Lester and how great he's been down the stretch. How did you maybe prepare yourself for the challenge of going against Lester?
You know, I never prepared myself to go against Lester. My job was to get their hitters out, and that's what I did tonight. Was keep attacking their hitters and hoping my guys got to Lester, and they got to him early and just stayed on him, and I was able to keep that lineup, you know, that dangerous lineup down tonight.
We showed the conversation you had with Navarro back in June in Texas. Also mentioned how great you were in the second half of the year, a 2.50 ERA in your last 22 starts. How did that change you, and how did you become a better pitcher throughout the year?
It helped me realize that I had to get my emotions under control if I wanted to stay up here, you know, it's kind of succeed up here. So it helped me just, you know, ask for help. You know, I started talking to Ken Revisa, you know, professor out of Cal State Fullerton. And he gave me a lot of tools that helped me just calm down and just, you know, ease the moment, you know, take pitch by pitch and just kind of enjoy the ride that I've been on.
After you got the 5-0 early lead, how did you pitch differently to the Red Sox?
Nothing different. You know, this team can put up big numbers pretty quick. So you just keep attacking, keep them on balance, and just, you know, go right after them. I stayed hard with them the entire game, and I wasn't going to change my game plan no matter what happened.
Speaking of big numbers, how about the Rays? The Tampa Bay Rays, everybody in the starting lineup will each one hit. Probably the most satisfying for this crowd and some of your friends and family from Rhode Island. Obviously, your home run that sealed the victory. Rocco Baldelli, everything you've been through this year, how can you put into words what you did here tonight?
I can. You know, this is real special for me, you know, coming home and being here and doing this in front of my family and stuff. And Fenway was right down the street from where I live. It's less than an hour away, so this is great.
With all the injuries, missing 4 months of this season with a mitochondrial disorder, not knowing if you'd ever play again, how tough has this been on you mentally?
Well, it was really hard. I mean, you know, back in spring training, I didn't know if I'd be playing anymore. I couldn't do even, you know, little baseball things like swinging the bat and throwing, but I feel great right now. I feel 100 times better than I did, and you know, to think we'd be in the playoffs, it's unbelievable.
How did you feel, and what did you say to your 10-year-old brother Dante after you homered and you saw him in the dugout?
Well, I mean, he was just pumped to be at the game. He has some allergies, and he has a tough time being around peanuts, so he doesn't get to come see me play very often. But he got to come in the field for BP with him and his friend, and I think he'll remember it for a long time.
You were drafted by this team back in 2000. You finished third in the Rookie of the Year, 2003. All the things you've been through, all the things this franchise has been through, worst to first. How do you explain what's going on in that locker room?
Well, it's tough. I mean, this kind of stuff doesn't happen very often. I mean, I was there when we weren't very good. I mean, we came and we battled every day and played hard, and we just didn't win a lot of games. And you know, that was very difficult to deal with, and to think we'd come all the way back and win, you know, 97 games this year and go to the playoffs. I mean, it's not something that you can envision real easily, but you know, the way it happened perfectly. It's really been great.
We'll always come back further than you. Congratulations on a great night. Back to you, Jim.
All right, Craig, thank you very much. The Red Sox feel they have something to prove. Perhaps these Tampa Bay Rays have something to prove, and they prove they can play with the Red Sox tonight. 9-1, our final in Game 3 of this ALCS. For Buck Martinez, Ron Darling, Craig Sager, and our crew, Chip Carey saying good night from Fenway Park. Please join us tomorrow night for Game 4 of the Rays and Red Sox. Our coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern with TBS MLB on deck, presented by Sprint. After the break, stay tuned for Inside MLB presented by Captain Morgan. Remember to drink responsibly. Until tomorrow night, so long, everybody.
What do you want as your reward?
I want to take all my ladies